Hi everybody, good morning. I'm Jeremy Cordeaux. Welcome to the dining room table. We're all gathered around waiting for you. Join us. We're with you till 12 today. I'll remind you of the number if you'd like to ring us, the Court of Public Opinion. We call this the Public Opinion Hotline. It's 0491 65 68 60. And you can call us whether it is, I don't know, in the news, on your mind, close to your heart, getting up your nose, on your chest, whatever. Ring us, stick it on the air. Okay, you got the number 0491 65 68 60. Breaking news this morning, interesting news, that the gang, who was allegedly the group, we're not sure exactly how many in the group, but they allegedly stabbed and hacked those two kids, 12 and 15, to death, Sudanese kids. The alleged attackers, also Sudanese, I believe. The youngest in the gang, 13. The eldest, 12. No, 13 is the youngest, 19 is the eldest. Now, they've been arrested. It'll be interesting to see if they've been charged, or when they are charged. And it'll be even more interesting to see if they get bail. I reckon if they get bail, I think there'll be a riot in Melbourne. Today is an interesting day. I've got to welcome all our people. Liz Ellicus.
Good morning, Jeremy.
Good morning, Jeremy.
Gary Hisco.
Hi, Jeremy.
Tony Denton.
Hi, Jeremy.
Caroline. I don't know where Caroline's gone, but anyway. It is today. What is today? Today is Talk Like a Pirate Day.
Friday.
Talk like a pirate. Why?
Right.
Aye, Captain.
Oh, God. Why would anyone come up with Talk Like a Pirate?
There's something for every day.
I suppose there is.
Oh, Jeremy, there's so many pirates around these days.
Well, it could be.
You should pay homage
You
to
mean people
them.
who copy music and videos?
Yes.
Yeah, those sort of
The
pirates.
Pirate Bay.
All right, you're right.
It's also National Overthinkers Day, so be careful.
A lot of that too.
We don't want to do too much of that.
Be careful.
Keep it simple.
There's another one. It's a busy day today.
Oh, God, can we handle it?
It's another
Can we
one.
handle it?
Love Your Lunch Day.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, that's sort of appeals.
Lunch with beverages.
So many lunch lots around, isn't there?
How about
lunch a lot?
How
lunch a
about,
lot?
Lunch a lot.
Yeah. How about International Grenache Day? Is that like Red Wine Day?
Well, that sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, I'll drink to that.
Drink to that, yeah.
Okay, plenty to talk about. Maria's already on the line. Maria.
Good morning, all.
Morning.
Happy birthday for yesterday, Jeremy.
Thank you, my darling.
If I had a good voice, I would sing happy birthday, but I don't want to.
Look, the thought means everything.
Good. Lots to talk about. Let's have No Harm Day by our Australian government. That would be better.
Good luck with that.
That could run for a week.
Yeah. Now, lots to talk about. Fatima Payman, the senator, saying that Charlie Kirk was an awful person.
Oh, really?
Yes, really. It just goes to show these radical leftists, they have no compassion, no decency, only contempt.
Well, would the lefties...
She should be kicked out of Parliament.
Yeah, well, I'm afraid the lefties, and it's even worse with the extreme lefties, but there's no freedom of thought within that dogma. If you disagree with them, they'll try to shut you down or close you down, and as we have recently seen, they'll even try to kill you.
Yes.
And I'm looking at a meme in front of me on the mobile where there's a picture of a lefty smiling at Charlie Kirk's death, and then a picture of a lefty with an angry face that Jimmy Kimmel has lost his show.
Yeah.
Well,
So that tells you their mentality and their thought process. It's quite horrible.
They're just like sheep. They have no history knowledge. They have no knowledge. They have no common sense. They don't do their research. They just follow like sheep. The world is a sadder place when differing opinions come to this. Jeremy, over the years, we've agreed to disagree, but we're still friends and we're still talking.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So to actually murder somebody in the way that that person did, I wouldn't take it to court. It's a well-known fact that he did it, and he's actually admitting to it. I'd put him up against a firing squad, a wall, and firing squad end his life, but slowly, sort of shoot him in the knees and shoot him in the toes.
I tell you what, don't make this girl angry. She's formidable.
Maria for president.
Because actually going to the electric chair is too good for him.
No, I think you're onto something with the firing squad. I think that is how they do it in Utah. I think that is...
Is that true?
That
Yep,
is, yeah.
it is. It's one of those few states left where they... In fact, I think it's the only state that they'll stand you up against a wall and shoot you.
Oh, good. I didn't know that.
Where?
Well, there was a gentle Mormon state of Donny Osmond and all those.
Well, it's better in Utah than it is in China, because the relatives in China get a bill and they have to pay for the bullet.
But wait for it. There'll be probably a plea for mental insanity. So he might spend the rest of his life in jail.
No.
Should bring him to Australia and meet the mushroom lady.
Then the American taxpayers will have to pay for his food and lodging and any other stuff. No, too good. No. The world is a sadder place without a person like Charlie Kirk. He never said that he hated people. He tried to bring people in, tried to educate them, but not brainwash them, pointed out the truth, tried to lift people up that were saying, I'm nothing, I'm black, I'll never get anywhere. He tried to lift those people up. And I was getting really, really worried with the generation that are actually happy that what happened. But since then, there is the younger generation, like the 12-year-olds, and that they are actually coming onto TikTok and saying that they are Charlie Kirk. They're all actually trying to carry on the message of what he was doing. So I have hope for the 12 and 13-year-olds that haven't been brainwashed yet with this wokeism and everything. I do deeply, deeply from the bottom of my heart say to anyone that did like Charlie Kirk, they might not have agreed with everything that he said, but as you always say, Jeremy, that saying, you'll defend the right to actually say what you want.
No one, Maria, should lose their life for advocating goodness and being prepared to debate issues and challenge people. But his death, I think, is already showing itself to be a catalyst for the good. Many, many young people in the United States are moving back to religion and faith-based life. And I think we in the world, particularly the Western world, need a great deal of that.
Yes, we do. We don't need people like Fatima and all the lefties and the ones that don't think, that are dividing us and then hating our country and pushing all this rubbish down our children's throat. No, I don't agree with that at all. All this wokeism should be out the door. If you don't like this country, if you don't like the values that we hold, if you don't like our flag, well, piss off. Sorry for the language. Getting on to John Lyons of the ABC.
Yeah.
Expose on four corners, and he questioned Donald Trump's business interests. John, ABC, Australian, not US.
No,
Australians would much rather you ask all the former Australian Prime Ministers about their business interests.
He could go and do a fantastic show on the CFMEU or the trade union movement generally, or
Paul Keating's piggery.
I was going to use that one as an example, and Malcolm Turnbull's inside information. And he's bought a lot of land at Hunter Valley, for the wind farms and the solar panels.
Well, I don't know that that's true. Do you know that that's true? See, there's a lot of rumour and malice that goes on directed at both sides of politics.
Yes, but we've
got to get it right.
Yeah, we've got to be balanced. If you're attacking an overseas country's president, I don't care what America and Trump does. I don't care what any other country's leader does. What we need is ours to be held to account. Getting back to Kevin Rudd's wife dissolving the Commonwealth Employment Service and opening under trade the new employment offices and made millions. These are the questions we need. These are the questions. What is your salary? What is your business expenses? In regards to our current Prime Minister, he was preaching all along and still does. I was brought up by a single mum on the bare bones of their ass. I worked as a union hack. John, as Albo has always said, he was very poor. His mother was very poor. Ask the question, how did he become a millionaire? How?
Well, I guess, look, in this great country, until, of course, the left ruin all the avenues of opportunity, it is possible to do very well in life. But it does involve ambition. It does involve getting off your bum. It does involve taking risks.
Look, many people, if they really dug into politicians' backgrounds and local councillors. And, for example, in local government here in Adelaide, there's a council, I won't name them, and I won't name the councillor, but she is a greenie. She's against fossil fuels. She's totally wants renewables. But in her pecuniary interest listings, she has shares in Woodside Petroleum and Santos. So she's happy to take the dividends and live off the dividends, but she wants everyone else to not do that.
Well,
so it's rank hypocrisy.
Yeah. Could we do something like Donald suing the ABC and saving Australians $2 billion for their radical, biased and lefty como ideology? Because their charter is that they should be balanced and unbiased. Yeah. I can't even watch the ABC anymore because they are so biased.
Yeah, they are. Hang on a second.
Maria, have you heard of this guy called Jerry Noonan who's gone viral? He was in South Africa for a mining conference and he's just calling out the nonsense of Bowen and co with this. I'll just play this clip. It's very funny.
Are the electrification and battery electric vehicles in your mining operation, son?
Well, we have coal because we've got the biggest coal deposits in the world, but we're not allowed to burn the fucking stuff, so the world's rooted, really. It's all right to be idealistic, but you also have to be realistic. And until the lights go out, the idiots that want to be green on everything and not do mining, not do coal, not do anything, they're going to have to go back and use candles and live in tents, and then they'll no, you might fucking laugh, but it's true. You understand what I'm talking about? I'm not talking bullshit, I'm talking reality. If we don't get realistic, we're fucked. It's as simple as that. We're not allowed to use uranium. We've got the biggest uranium deposits in the world in Australia. We're not allowed to mine the fucking stuff. So it's all fucked. So when half these cunts die,
that's not Adam Jones, is it?
And then those of us that survive will get it going again.
Well, yeah, just That's an interesting. No,
My next door neighbour, I was talking to him, he's a lawyer, so he's not an idiot. Well, he is a fuckwit, but that's another problem. And he said, oh, that's right, you just put plugs along the highways. I said, but if you haven't got a fucking source from a power station, plugs on the highways aren't going to do fuck jack shit, right? Do you understand me? The people don't understand. They think the electricity comes out of fucking space. But if you haven't got a charging system, which is a steam coal-burning power station, how the fuck can you charge your batteries? Do you understand that?
I understand.
Well, a lot of the cunts don't, and that's the problem with the world.
Thank you so much for your time. I enjoyed the rest of the visit.
We will. Yeah, we'll enjoy it eventually.
Oh, what an eloquent fellow.
Well, I tell you what.
He's spot on, Marie. Don't you think?
The language is a little bit that I don't understand.
We understand
very
for the
colourful.
normal,
But he gets the
for
point
the
across.
normal bloke,
He gets-
really radical lefties, they would understand that language very well.
Nice.
Yep. Look, darling, it's true. So you don't ever have to worry about your language and the words you may use on this program ever again.
She ain't a rose. Ain't no wrong with the radio. She ain't a Cadillac. She ain't a rose. There ain't nothing wrong with the radio.
I love it. Good morning, everyone. The Court of Public Opinion, jeremycordeaux.com. Doesn't matter where you're listening. Anywhere in the world, you can dial us up. What's the Australian code if you're going to dial up a mobile?
Plus 61.
61, okay. Plus 61 0491 65 68 60. Now, did you all catch up with this, the catastrophizing that has gone on over the last few days about the targets?
Oh, yeah, that's what this little clip was all about.
Yeah. But the targets... I was listening at, I don't know what it was, 3 o'clock in the morning. I was listening to this character talking about how we absolutely must get to 70% renewables.
It's not going to happen.
And the silly journalist who was talking to him didn't say why. What happens if we don't? The inference is it is the end of the world. Seas will rise, people will die, the sky will fall in.
Penny, cocky locky. Goodness me.
The question has to be asked, where is the scientific evidence that what you're saying is right? You're just catastrophizing.
No, but the thing is, I'm trying to find the article, but it said to achieve that you'd have to have 90%, only 10% of coal-fired power, which we're not going to have by that time. Half the cars will have to be electric, which they're not.
40%.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find the
We have
numbers
to
now.
double the rooftop
Yeah, that's
solar.
right. Double the rooftop was the other part. I'm just trying to find
Double the rooftop, and I don't think that can happen.
That's not going to happen. And it doesn't solve the problem unless you've got a battery to go with it.
But the question remains, all right, let's say we don't do this. What's going to happen? And if you're surmising or suggesting that all of these terrible catastrophes are going to occur, prove it scientifically, as Professor Plymer has said on this very program at that microphone right there.
And Professor Plymer's latest presentation, I think he was up in Brisbane during the week, and it runs for about 35 minutes, and he's talking about, as he does at the dining room table, interglacials and the cycles of the planet. He said, we've been colder, we've had more CO2 in the atmosphere, we've done all sorts of things that they're worried about now. But it's already happened before, and we've still survived, we're still here.
But just show us the evidence that CO2 is a problem in the first place. And particularly if we've got 0.04% CO2 in the atmosphere, which is nothing. It's been incredibly higher, much higher than that in the past. And no catastrophes.
But Jeremy, the biggest irony of all this is that Australia produces 1.3% of the world's CO2.
CO2.
And
this is why I don't want
one. We sell our coal to India, to other countries, China, and they burn our coal and they put the residues up into the atmosphere. So it's the one atmosphere. It's not like it's a separate atmosphere.
So
But
where
people
are the
don't-
journalists who point this out to these hapless politicians? This Chris Bowen fellow, I mean, he is dangerously foolish. And he looks, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Goebbels, the National Socialist Party of Germany's
their PR
propaganda.
guy.
He was the propaganda guy. He designed all Hitler's propaganda. And from a book, he was explaining just exactly how to do it. And I must dig it out and bring it in and read it verbatim. But it was, all you have to do is to tell what you want the people to believe often enough and well enough and emotionally enough, and eventually they will believe you.
I put it to you in a different way. You can tell a lie, and if you keep telling the same lie over and over again, it becomes the truth. And this climate movement is like a religion.
Yes.
It's like a cult. It's not a religion, it's a cult.
Yeah,
And our kids have for countless, it's probably generations now, been educated to think certain ways from the get-go. And they, when they become adults, are absolutely convinced that the planet is going to tip over and there's all sorts of things going to happen.
Yeah, but
you
you can expect some crazy people around the place, like you remember Jonestown, and there was the Brethren, and whole lot of cults and things that turned up over the years where people were quite happy to go and take poison and die because it was the right thing to do or something. You can understand that. But when the government starts to carry on with nonsense and endorsing that nonsense with a sense of urgency and the imprimatur of being an elected government, we've got a huge problem. And then you put with that a media that is in no way, it's compliant, no way questions the rubbish. But the point you make is that we have to meet this target. We have to meet this target. Well, no, we're not going to. I know that. We're not going to.
But they say we have to. Well, sorry, Sunshine, we're not going to.
But it doesn't make any difference because the other countries are not doing it. You know, and
they're just nonsense.
Who was it sitting at the table the other day who explained, as a well-travelled person, that you go overseas and there ain't no windmills, there ain't no solar, there's no urgency, there's no talk about this, there's no sort of a culture that talks about climate change. It is just here.
Well, look, Jeremy, as you know, I've just recently come back from Europe, and the landscape in Europe where I went, and that's Eastern Europe and the French Riviera, there just isn't the infrastructure that people think it is. They're not moving more and more towards renewables. In fact, they're
that's
going
because France,
quite the opposite way.
France is full of nuclear, which is perfect.
Well,
and they
80% of France's power comes from nuclear.
And then they export it to other countries as
well.
well.
They were smart to put the infrastructure in early.
Denmark had a huge number of offshore windmills,
They look terrible.
and they're taking them down now.
Well, people in Australia don't realise the catastrophe, the real catastrophe that's about to occur. We've now had solar panels on people's roofs, private roofs and commercial roofs, for 20 plus years. And a solar panel's lifespan is 25 years. Yeah. Then they start to degrade their output.
They drop down.
Now,
then what are you going to do? How do you dispose of them?
Well, that's exactly the point I illustrate, is that there's no government plan to recycle, harvest these panels, except to put them into landfill. So what an environmental nightmare are we creating here? When the government's got no foresight, they're pushing people. If they want half the population to have rooftop panels, well, you'd think that there's a recycling plan and a repurposing plan for the components. Well, they've got nothing, absolutely nothing.
This is what you see.
So the government is totally bereft of common sense.
Yeah, well, I'm afraid so.
This is what you see as you fly out of Copenhagen.
Yeah.
All those windmills.
Yeah. That's
in the ocean there.
That's what I was talking about, yeah.
Yep, dozens of them.
Remember, before we went on air, I was talking about that facility out near the Edinburgh base. There are hundreds of solar panels stacked up there. hundreds of them.
These are old ones or ones?
Yes, the used
Old
ones.
ones.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Good God.
Heaps of them there.
Good God. And what about the pollution that is incurred in the production of these things in China? But the Chinese are not held accountable. We, with 1% of global emissions, we are going to save the world?
Yeah.
What absolute bullshit.
Look, again, the goody two-shoes who are pushing these activities, as Professor Plimer said, the people who harvest, mine cadmium and lithium are literally kids, young adults dying in the mines as we speak.
Yes, yes.
Because they're getting peanuts for their work, and countries like China are taking in the product, putting them into electric vehicles, and almost our biggest import of motor cars is starting to be electric. And guess where? From China.
From China.
And then they're saying that the firmware in the firewall within some of these cars can be hacked by the Chinese. And
Wouldn't surprise me.
They're actually saying some of these cars could be set to explode.
Well, they can certainly listen in and they can track where you're going. And
most of those cars have up to 5 cameras inside the car.
Yes.
They're data collection points.
But why would the Chinese be bothered?
Well, it's the invasion without actually sending military hardware. If you can disable someone's power grid, their communications, all that type of stuff.
It's market research on their side.
Well, if we're not cognizant of this, if we're not aware, and we're prepared to lose our country, our freedom, our business, the edge that we've always had because of cheap electricity, cheap power, that brought industry and jobs to this country. And if we're prepared to, if we've got a citizenry that is prepared to hand over everything that the generations that have been before have built, God help us.
well, that's what we've got.
That's what we've got.
That's exactly what's happening.
Is it fashion? Is it group insanity? What is it?
Ill-informed people.
Easily led.
Well, look, it's
ill-informed people.
It's interesting, these woke principles, and I did a little bit of homework overnight, and I thought it'd be good to talk about the woke principles.
Yep.
And their principles are ethical business practices, body positivity, diversity and inclusion, social responsibility, environment and activism. Now, they're all issues on the left, but if the right side of politics would engage in any of those sort of activities, you're held down.
Yeah, no,
it's always on their side and to suit them.
Of course you are. Okay, let me give you a quick rundown of who's on the show. I'll introduce you in a couple of minutes to Catherine Sayer. Now, Catherine Sayer is the CEO of Family Business. It's an association. I'd never heard of this before. Oh. The Family Business Association. Today, the 19th of September, is the National Family Business Day. We'll talk to Catherine about that. Jack Comedy is a very interesting guy. He has a podcast that he puts out. It's called Jack Out the Back. Real talk, real life, fighting for democracy in Australia. And he is a genuine character. He really is. You'll meet him about 10 o'clock, I think. We've got to go to Western Australia for that. Professor Rachel McCall. Professor McCall is a psychotherapist. Has anyone been to a psychotherapist? No. No, I haven't. I don't even know what a psychotherapist does. But we will find out this morning. Professor Rachel McCall. And my wife has written here, because she looks so good.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Mind you, that's why we're all here.
Well, that's true, but I haven't ever met Professor McCall. There's nothing wrong with a good-looking professor. Oh, yes, and speaking of good-looking professors, Colonel, Sir, Professor John Crompton, AM.
Oh, goodness.
Now, he's a wonderful man. I've known him for years. He has been with the Adelaide Children's Hospital for years and years and years. And somewhere in that last hour of the program, the great Robbie Brechin, a journalist who should be, I don't know, he should have his own radio program, or he should be writing a newspaper column or owning a newspaper. So we've got plenty to do, ladies and gentlemen. No, don't forget you can ring us on 0491 65 68 60 here in the Court of Public Opinion. Coming up, as I say, in just a couple of seconds, Catherine Sayer, ladies and gentlemen. It's a lovely sunny day. I don't know why they forecast rain because I can't see any rain out there, but it's a nice sort of spring day. I hope it's going to be a nice day for you wherever you are, whatever you are doing.
How often does the bomb get it right?
True. But they'll tell you what the weather is going to be like in 50 years, but they can't do it for one day.
Now, we've got to be very careful what we might say to Professor McCall. These psychotherapists analyse people and their problems.
Oh, God.
So
Okay, it could be.
She might detect something in our voices or our attitude.
Could be problematic. Yeah. Anyway, Family Business Day today, National Family Business Day. Did you know that? Well, Catherine Sayer certainly did and does. Hi, Catherine.
Good morning, Jeremy. How are you?
I am young, alive, and a lot of fun.
Oh, that's a good way to be on a Friday.
And I hope the psychotherapist didn't hear me say it.
He's also now an octogenarian.
Well, that's true, but I don't feel any different to the day I was 21.
You're only as young as the person... I shouldn't say that. No, I'm not going to go there.
You're only as young as the women you feel?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
I'm glad you said it, not me.
Forgive him, Catherine. Forgive him.
on the end of that.
We've got Gary and Tony and Liz, and I'm Jeremy. Tell us all about Family Business Day. How long has it been going?
Well, for quite some years, actually, Jeremy. And in fact, I saw a post yesterday from the UK as well. So it's not only Australia and New Zealand that is celebrating National Family Business Day on the 19th of September. So it's a big deal.
Why did they pick the 19th of September? Is there any significance in the day?
If I said anything, I'd be making it up. So I really don't know why it's the 19th of September, but it's not a bad day to be celebrating.
Well, this is talk radio. You feel quite free to make things up. It's okay. It's quite all right. What's your background? Is it your background in administration or is it in small business or what?
Well, it's a common. I did actually grow up in a family business, and then I'm actually from Adelaide, and so have spent most of my life in Adelaide. Had a short stint in Melbourne in my early 20s, then moved back to Adelaide. And, so I more recently was working with an organisation called Food South Australia. So I was the CEO there for 13 and a half years. And interestingly, there are a lot of family businesses that are food and beverage manufacturers as well. So moving across to Melbourne a couple of years ago to head up FBA, Family Business Association, didn't seem like a big move. It was a natural move.
Yeah. Are people members or do you go out sort of...
Yes.
Yeah.
No, we're a membership-based organisation, so we're the peak body for family businesses.
Do you lobby for family businesses?
We're not lobbyists, but we certainly advocate. And one of the things we're really trying to push at the moment is to actually have a minister for family business. So in South Australia, Andrea Michaels was the first minister to become the Small and Family Business Minister. And more recently in Queensland, Steve Minikin is the Minister for Small and Family Business. And we'd like to see other states and territories and even at a federal level to really recognise family businesses.
Dazzle us with some statistics. How many family businesses are there?
So I think there's about 1.4 million, but basically family businesses, 70% of Australian businesses are family businesses.
70%?
And 50% of the workforce are employed by family businesses.
Wow. And I did read somewhere that collectively or the total was something like $4 trillion.
That's correct. You know, if you value a sector like we do with a lot of our sectors, it's worth $4.3 trillion. Like, it's massive.
Wow. And I would think fairly beleaguered at the moment. I would think running a business today would be at a particularly hard time in our history.
Well, I think that's that's true for all businesses. But the interesting thing about family businesses is they have what's called patient capital, and they're very patient investors. And so, in actual fact, a family business with its longevity is quite impressive. So yes, they can weather the tougher times probably better than many other businesses can.
Do many survive the clogs to clogs in 3 generations cliche that you start a family business and 3 generations down the track they've lost a lot?
Yeah, well, I think that's a bit of an interesting stat, and I think that it's a bit of a folklore and a myth in many respects, because if you look at in South Australia, for example, where you are, you think about all those businesses, multi-generational businesses, and Cooper's is a really good example.
Yes.
6 generations, probably going into 7.
Haigs.
You've got Haigs chocolates.
Haigs is another one, yeah.
Paramount
Absolutely. There's Berenberg, there's Barossa Fine Foods, there's San Remo, there's Bickford's, there's Thomas Foods. They're all multi-generational businesses.
Paramount Brown, Gary says.
Yes,
Scrap
yeah.
metal empire.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So there are so many, and this is the thing about family businesses. They are everywhere. And so National Family Business Day is about making a loud noise to everybody, because we know consumers love family businesses, and celebrating the day. Not today, but every day as well.
Well, at times I can imagine it being an absolute joy knowing so well the people around you, family, you know their strengths, you know their weaknesses.
That's right.
And one would assume sort of more loyalty to a family than to an employer. But then you got things like the Murdochs. Now that, gee.
What a mess. What a mess.
Well, what's the old saying? Sharper than a serpent's tooth is an ungrateful child.
Well, we might leave that one alone.
Well, I would think that the kids would do what Dad wanted. Hell, it's his business.
Well, and that is the really interesting issue about succession and family businesses, and when is the right time to let go? When is it who is the right person to take over? There's a whole lot of stuff.
And I guess entitlement falls into that category. And if you look at the Reinhardt Empire, the same issue applies there.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what the matriarch of the family wants to do. It depends on what the kids might feel they're entitled to.
Yeah, but
one of the...
Go on.
I was going to say one of the key things around succession is communication, and communication early. So what I typically see is people don't talk about the next steps, the next generation, the whole succession plan, and they don't communicate, and they don't communicate freely, and that is a real challenge.
Do in family businesses, do the girls get a fair shake?
Well, it's interesting you say that. I heard a stat only the other day, and I can't remember it exactly, but in terms of the next intergenerational succession, women are actually the predominant sex taking over. So I think it was something like 70-30 or something. So women are definitely at the forefront of family businesses.
What do you do, I wonder, if you've got a successful family business and none of the kids want to go into it? What do you do then?
So there's a number of options. One is you can sell the business, get the business ready to sell. Often family businesses do sell to family businesses, so it's not all lost from the sector.
Yeah.
The other option is to actually put non-family executives in and still have the ownership, but actually have other people running it. So there's a number of different things that families can look at if they want to continue running an operating family business.
And that often happens, Catherine, in agriculture when the kids don't want to have that lifestyle. They want to be in the big smoke in the city.
Well, that's right. I mean, if you're a small business in particular, you do notice that people work hard. Everybody works hard in a family business, and they roll their sleeves up and get into it. But often in a smaller business, they've got so much more that they have to do, and sometimes the kids just don't want to take over. But that's okay. In
the context of our current economic situation, when I'm talking about Australia, what are the major impediments you feel that go against running a family business?
Well, it's interesting. There's a whole lot of taxation things that we'd be keen to have a look at because if you're transferring a sale of a business, for example, from one generation to another, you've got the stamp duty issue, you've got capital gains tax, all those sorts of things, which seem a bit just doesn't seem quite right. If you're continuing through a family and generation to generation, there should be something in there that actually allows families to transfer the ownership without being taxed for it.
Yep. That makes sense.
So other factors, Catherine, I mean, the political climate, energy, costs. I mean, we had Albert Ben Simon here who runs Shields, and I asked him a question about electricity because their stores are very brightly lit, air-conditioned, yada, 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 cost of energy going up all the time. And he said, oh, well, if the price goes up, we can handle it. We just pass it through the system. He was fairly blasé about it. But for a lot
it's
of
the cost of doing business, isn't it?
But for many businesses, energy, and if you're running a small delicatessen with refrigeration, air conditioning, lighting, it becomes a huge drag.
Absolutely. It's a very big cost. Electricity or, utilities, huge cost.
It is, in fact, the multiplier. It is what is causing the cost of living situation we have at the moment because the price of electricity affects the cost of everything. Everything we buy, every place we go, everything we do.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, we don't seem to have a government that's recognising that fact.
I might leave that one alone too.
Well, you don't want to offend anyone, I suppose. But if you say you're not a lobby group, but if you were advocating for small businesses, what are the big issues that you would like to see fixed?
I've just touched on that one, but in terms of the taxation and sort of more support for family businesses that way, but also actually having a minister for family business would be fantastic because if you're sitting at a cabinet table and that's your portfolio, then you clearly have an interest in making sure that particular portfolio does well. So, it's not a unique situation now. As I said, we've got South Australia and we've got Queensland. So it's time for the rest of the states and territories to really think about it and really engage to support family businesses because family businesses provide so much diversity in our community and to the economy. So we really need to support them.
And Catherine, later in the program, we have a psychotherapist as a guest, and on the issue of psychotherapy or psychology, how do you find your clients now? Are they more fractured and more tormented by business than what they used to be, or are they riding on the crest of a wave? What's your gauge on the mental health of small business people?
Well, it's a really good question. I mean, I think because we are so diverse as well, different sectors are doing better or worse than others. So it would be hard to generalise. But, for example, we run a program within FBA called a forum group program, and that's where family business people get together 10 times a year with an independent facilitator. And I only heard one of our members say to me this morning, it's cheaper than seeing a psychologist. So the fact that they've actually got their group that they can really relate to and connect with on a regular basis, actually there's a lot of support in our community.
Yeah. Well, it's a good thing you're there. Do you have meetings and things like that, or do you put out a newsletter? How do you keep in contact with all?
Anyone can subscribe to our newsletter. We have a national one that goes out once a month and then a state-based one that goes out once a month as well. And we have bucket loads of events. I've just come from one where we call it Meet the Owner, and it was all about 3 of our members and manufacturers and all their story, their family business dynamics, and it was fantastic. And one of them is Sutton Tools, and Sutton Tools is one of the last manufacturer of their kind in Australia, and they are fantastic. And we had Abbey Packaging and also Anchor Products, and so they're 3 excellent manufacturers in Victoria.
Les used to work in the wine business. Was it Orlando?
Orlando was initially G. Grant and Sons, a family company. Then in 1970, the English multinational Reckitt and Coleman purchased them because as a family company they were good makers of booze, but they weren't necessarily good marketers. So they needed expertise. That typically
and what's the difference between underarm deodorant and wine?
Exactly.
You can do one, you can do the other.
And I think Catherine, you'd probably agree with me that a lot of family businesses are good at their craft, what they're actually doing, but they're not necessarily always good at selling and marketing their products.
Well, you can't be good at everything.
It's a good point, because family businesses, particularly the larger ones, often fly under the radar, and they just get on doing what they're doing. Although, having said that, we were just talking about that this morning, where some of the family businesses, they've got really strong marketing arms now, because you have to be able to sell your product as well as make it.
Yep. Do you have a deal whereby all your members, I don't know how many members you've got numerically, but probably thousands. Do you have a deal where you people who are in the club, so to speak, or in the association, get a discount if they trade with each other?
It's a really good point. That's something that we're looking at in terms of our systems, so that we can exactly support that marketplace concept. So not there yet, but that is on the drawing board.
Well, I hope you have a wonderful day. How are you celebrating? I know you've been to one meeting. What are you doing for lunch?
Well, I'm on my way back into the office, and we're going to be celebrating with, I think, another cake for National Family Business Day.
Well, may it be a great day. I'm sure it is.
Excellent. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Catherine.
Okay, bye.
Catherine Sayar, National Family Business Day. So we can put that together with, what was it? Hang on. National Talk Like a Pirate Day.
Hey, my hearties.
So, you got a song for me?
A better song, Mr. Businessman.
Oh, okay.
86 proof anesthetic crutches prop you to the top, where the smiles are all synthetic and the ulcers never stop. When they take that final inventory, yours will be the same sad story everywhere. No one will really care. No one more lonely than this rich imported man. Let's have your autograph, endorse your epitaph. You better take care of business, Mr. Businessman. What's your plan? Get down to business, Mr. Businessman, if you can.
Okay, happy birthday if you're having a birthday. By the way, I'll tell you, apart from National Speak Like a Pirate Day and National Grenache Day and Don't Overthink It Day and Small Business Day, what is it? September? Day after birthday day, yeah. September the 19th. 1912, on this day, the wattle is declared Australia's national flower and incorporated into the Commonwealth coat of arms. It's a very nice coat of arms, too. I don't know if everybody likes it.
A ring Peter?
Yeah, ring Peter, yeah. The British monarch, Queen Elizabeth II, interred at Windsor Castle after a state funeral at Westminster Abbey in London, with an unprecedented 500 world leaders in attendance. That was this day in 2022. 1876, the first carpet sweeper is patented by Melville Bissell of Grand Rapids, Michigan. The carpet sweeper. Can you still buy a carpet sweeper?
Indeed.
You can?
Absolutely.
I haven't seen one. I know Mum used to have one.
Manual, you can.
They
Thanks for your
sell
call.
these
I'm
stick
unable
vacs
to
now.
take your call. Please.
Hang on. Oh,
No, he's gone.
no message? Oh, well, anyway, it doesn't matter. I tried. I said I'd call him back. Guy Gibson, the British aviator who led the Dam Busters raid, won a Victoria Cross. I don't know whether it was the Dam Busters raid that got him the Victoria Cross, but he was killed in action later. He was only 26 years old. Very young, very successful, very brave. 1944, one of the few. David McCallum, Scottish-American actor. 1933 he was born, man from Uncle. Ilya Kuryakin.
Ilya Kuryakin.
Ilyar, yes.
Let me find a man from Uncle thing.
I had a Labrador dog called Ilya Kuryakin for 18 years.
Kuryakin, good
Blondie.
name. He was also in NCIS for years and years and years. Born in Glasgow, Scotland. He died in 2023. Ducky was his name in NCIS. Very nice.
Got a man from Uncle theme here.
Have you got it?
Yep.
Is that it? Hello?
Hello, Jeremy.
Yeah, look, I did promise and I rang you. I did keep my word.
No, I'm just crossing Jetty Road.
Oh, look, give us a commentary. What's the traffic like?
Well, it's like Starlark 13 in Hogan's Heroes.
There's never been an escape from Starlark 13.
I know nothing.
Yeah, well, that's it. And Glenelga's like a prisoner of war camp.
Oh, God. Well, when are you running for mayor?
Well, Andrew Reimer wants to do that.
Okay. Well, say hi to Andrew if you
I will.
If you're
anyway,
talking to him.
I think, Jeremy, you're not into footy, are you?
No.
Well, it's a grand final on Sunday. Glenelg versus my team.
So that's the SANFL, is it?
Yeah, and my team's a hot favourite, which means nothing.
Okay. Who's Glenelg is in there, and who they?
The Double Blues from Unley.
Okay. And who's going to win? And does it matter?
Sturt by 18 points.
Sturt by 18 points. All right.
Yes.
Does anyone around this table follow the football?
Yeah, well, you live in Sturt country.
It's what?
Glen Osmond is in Sturt country.
Is this Sturt country?
Border of Northern Sturt, yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, apart from that, sad to see Susan Close go, and maybe Tom will become the new premier when Malinowskis goes to Canberra.
What have you heard? I know you're well connected. What have you heard?
I haven't heard anything. Yeah.
It's rather strange that the two ministers are both on the same day.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, we've got an interesting election, Jeremy, with Frank representing Waite. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Frank is really worrying them, you know. He is really worrying them.
Yeah, he's a bit of a stirrer.
He's getting under their skin.
Yeah. Anyway, I better go, Jeremy. Up the Double Blues.
Well, it's very nice to talk to you, Peter. Where we used to live. All I have left is a heart full of sorrow.
Since she said she'd never forgive. Shudders and boards.
Nice song. That is, who was that? Singing the song, I mean.
Jerry Wallace.
Jerry Wallace. You know who wrote that?
No.
Speaking of Guy Gibson and war heroes and things like that, does anyone know the name Audie Murphy?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Audie Murphy.
Audie Murphy, the most decorated American soldier in World War II. And he was something.
Brilliant.
Very interesting. He was only about 5'2", but he obviously had the heart of a lion. Nothing could stop him.
Courageous man.
When you see a picture of Audie Murphy in his uniform, his entire chest was covered with fruit salad, ribbons and medals and God knows what. And he wrote that song. He only wrote one song, and that was it. Shutters and Boards. Audie Murphy. A little bit of trivia. Now, I don't know. It's quite possible, if you're listening to me, doesn't matter where you are listening to me, that you have listened to this bloke called Jack Comedy. The Outback Jack. I call him the bush philosopher. He doesn't know that yet. But he is a genuine outback, whether he's running cattle or camels, I'm not really sure. But I said I'd ring him about 10 o'clock. So we'll put a call in to Jack Comedy, Outback Jack, the bush philosopher. See if he's going to pick up and talk to us.
Well, you want him to ring him?
Oh, yeah.
It's not 10 o'clock yet.
Doesn't matter, ring him.
Well,
Ring him.
He's very pedantic this morning, Mr. Denton.
No, Tony Denton is a Virgo of the quintessential nature.
Okay.
Absolutely precise. Are you there, Jack?
Yeah, I've got you, Jeremy.
How are you?
Oh, doing well. Just loaded a whole load of cattle. So
you are
good start to the day.
You are genuinely a cattleman.
Yes.
How did you get to become the Outback bush philosopher?
Well, look, an interesting, turn of events. A little bit of a challenge from my cousin who had started a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And it was a bit of anything you can do, surely I can do better.
Yeah.
So a bit of friendly banter, and I got cracking on doing a YouTube channel and exploring the challenges and joys of everything that we deal with out here. And there's actually a surprisingly amount of political influence and interference with agriculture. And I notice more and more that, well, it's not just agriculture, it's just about every single bit of private life any Australian has.
Yeah, well, I got to tell you, you are very, very good. I don't know whether you sort of stand up there in front of the camera and you've got an auto cue or you are doing it from the heart. You have a script. I don't know. How do you write all these ideas that you come up with? Are they straight from the heart and the head, or what?
Look, if it came straight from the heart and the head, I'd occasionally lose track of where I am. So I do have to write some notes down so I can keep going. But it's also occasionally in the middle of the night you wake up and go, hang on a second, I should really talk about this. And on the idea of, you saying that I'm really good, well, comes to a smile. I've got a tattoo down my forearm, which is the first one I got. And it's in reference to being told when I was younger, you've got the immense capacity to be very, very good or very, very bad. And so from there, I decided that I'd run with Nasade Malay, which is, has no malice. So try to do everything with a little bit of good.
Yeah. Where do you get this sort of come from, sitting around the dining room table and arguing with your mother and father? How old are you, by the way?
I am 34.
You're 34?
Yes.
Oh. Okay.
Yes.
You I don't know how to describe your philosophy. I like it. It's common sense. It's basics and common sense. What sort of a following have you got?
And yes, the common sense and the basics, that comes back to a lot of things where it's do the simple things well. And you do that with work and everything that we do, and then you start expanding that and you look at politics and go, well, they're not doing the simple things well. They're losing track. So let's speak up about it.
Yeah, well, let's get stuck into it. What is their main sin? What is their main problem?
Well, it's a difficult one, but I could start with the people themselves, like everyday Australians, and realistically, it's sort of we're not getting involved enough in our political discourse, and people are just keeping their heads down and just she'll be right. But I think people seem to forget that we have very few fundamental rights in our constitution, but one of those is a constitutional right, a direct right to vote for individual representatives, not parties. So people seem to get caught up in we'll vote for red, blue, green, light blue, and not actually know who they are voting for, what the person's core is, what their belief is, because really they're meant to be a representative for us, of us, and we would want someone who shares our values, beliefs and attitudes to be representing us, not a puppet, really, a puppet to a party. Yeah. So that's where I think one of our biggest flaws is, but it's this idea that people believe the government is ruling us, but they should be doing what's in the interest of us as a nation. It's our will is what the government is supposed to do.
I guess, Jack, if you're in a regional rural electorate, your elected representative is actually more true to your needs than a city representative is. Where the city reps seem to get very involved in the party politics, but the regional people seem to understand the daily activities and lives of their constituents. Would that be what the way you read it too?
Well, that would be fair, and in some regards, and we know that we have electoral boundaries, and so for us in the lower house, we've got your regions and those representatives. However, there's less than 10 electorates outside of the Perth CBD for us, and that means that you've got less than 10 seats that can actually represent your regions. And we recently had a electoral change that now our upper house doesn't have regional representation. It's now just one ballot. It's not for any regions. So now it can just be stacked in favour of whomever wants to be in power. So then there's no power in the upper house. And so regional areas have absolutely copped a raw deal out of this entire thing. But I smile at the entire situation where local governments and regional people turn to the West Australian government and say, hey, look, this is really not fair. Like, we are the areas that the wealth of the state is coming from, but we get nothing. We get no roads, we get no hospitals, we have poor services. This is a joke. We should get something fair. And they go, well, no, sorry, Perth is the main economic hub. This is where the main populace is. We've got to make sure we look after the populace. So, no, you're not going to get as much funding as the city. And the regional people go, oh, that's a pretty poor deal. And then we look at it at a national level where West Australia and the same politicians that were telling the regional people, nah, sorry, the population's here, we've got to support the population. Those exact same politicians go to Canberra and cry poor, saying, hey, WA's where 70% of the GDP comes from. We're making the money. We should get more of the resources and the money back to us. The GST always comes up. And, we deserve that because we're the ones making it. And the federal government goes, well, hang on, the population's over here and we've got to support the population. And so really the state government gets exactly what they deserve because that's how they treat their people and, do unto others. It's
quite a piece of logic you got there. The very argument they use against you, Canberra uses against them. Wonderful.
It's just nice to see it.
There have always been rumours about Western Australia, seceding from the Commonwealth for the very reasons you've just outlined. Do you think that's a possibility, a reality?
Well, I really like the idea when we start talking about secession, where it goes through a referendum, but not all states and territories actually get to vote in it. And this is going off memory. I believe that the Northern Territory, Queensland and Tasmania don't actually get to vote in a referendum to do with secession. So if Queensland wanted to secede, they actually aren't allowed to vote in that election. So if we were going to do something like secession, I'd say something like, let's just draw the line. I'll take Queensland, South Oz, Territory and WA, and we'll see how well it goes for Sydney. But really, I think the better option would be for Western Australia to split into two.
Yeah, how would that work?
Well, we could always use one of our tax lines, which is the 26th parallel.
Yeah.
Just draw the line across there. I mean, we've got different tax laws north and south of that, so why not make it a whole load of different laws. The northern people have different needs and requirements to the southern areas, and maybe it'd make the city folk, Perth centric, actually consider the wealth that actually comes from the Kimberley and Pilbara.
Yeah, that could make them sit up and take notice. The sums are compelling. Yeah. Are you old enough to remember Prince Leonard of Hutt River?
Yes, I am, and it's a dangerous path to go down. That topic, as we know and we've seen in recent times, with certain names being thrown around and people, doing bad things, and it's almost one of those dangerous subjects to talk about, but we should talk about it.
Yeah, well, he I don't know, it was something about tax, and he just simply refused to pay his tax. And I talked to him a few times. I found him very interesting. He dug his heels in and he stuck to his guns, and while they, that is the establishment or the taxation department, didn't really like what was going on, they didn't do anything about it.
I guess
it wasn't a big enough problem.
I guess, Jack, it's that question of which perplexes people because it's not a widely spoken about subject, the sovereign citizen subject, which is the issue back in Victoria you've alluded to. But there are people, a cohort of people who believe that there's an illegitimacy about taxation and government rule, the Constitution and referenda. Have you got any comments about that?
Look, I think that the bigger issue we actually have is that Australia has lost its sovereignty itself. We are no longer a nation that gets to decide what we do and what we're committed to. We have so many things imposed on us, and that's by some of, we call it the colonial powers of the I call it the United Nations and the EU.
Yeah.
With hitting us with things like, you've got not enough people to have the emissions that you do. So the answer is you take the people we don't want. So then you're going to be on parity for your environmental commitments. But all that's done is that has forced us to stop developing our nation. We stopped developing in the 80s. Now it's a fallacy to say Australia is a developed nation. We do not have anything amazing being built infrastructure-wise. We look at projects like the Kalgoorlie pipeline, which was called impossible, madness, and you can't ever do it, and it got done. And that made it so Kalgoorlie, the Golden City, could develop, and it opened up that entire centre. Now, we built massive train lines across the entire country. We got all of this achieved, and then we just stopped. And now we've got fresh water running into the ocean by the billions of litres. Up in the northern part of Western Australia, we've got fresh water enough to fill Sydney Harbour twice running into the ocean, but you're not allowed to touch it because, that could cause an imbalance in the ocean salinity. But you go to the city and they're desalinating water, pumping hypersaline concentrate back into the ocean, and that's having an impact on the marine life because it's disturbing the equilibrium, but it's for the city. And this entire idea that you can't manipulate and edit the environment to create prosperity is a bit of a joke when you've got a city called Canberra, where it is completely and utterly a artificial area. So you're aware of the story behind Lake Burley Griffin?
No, not exactly. What was the story?
Well, it is an artificial lake, it was made in 1960s by damming one of the rivers.
Yeah.
And effectively, Canberra was a dairy farm. It got bought. It was, this is the place, but it doesn't look nice. So what we should do is we'll dam this off so that we've got more water, and we'll turn it into the visual centrepiece. and it's going to be symbolic and recreational. It's not for anything industrial. It's not for agriculture. It's not a water supply for the city or anything. It is genuinely just to be pretty. Now, they did that for no practical purpose. But when people come up with ideas, and they've been around since the early 20s, running the ore down into the centre of Western Australia, opening it up, having fresh water, creating little agricultural areas, doing the line down into Lake Eyre to make that be full year round. These things have real economic impacts.
Yeah, and if you were to convert Lake Eyre into a sea, an ocean, you would be changing the climate of the whole country.
You would increase the rainfall in the centre, whether it's salt water or fresh water.
Yep.
It would be good.
It
bring
would be
water,
good.
Bring life.
You see, we had people going back. Macquarie was one. Macquarie was a builder. Macquarie built things. He was the governor of New South Wales. Over there in the west, Lang Hancock, I used to talk to him. He was an amazing man. There was nothing he couldn't do. He was a man with a vision and determination and the energy to get things done. Where are those people? Where are they now?
Well, we're lost. We've lost some of those good minds and these great ideas because they get shut down at every corner by red, black and green tape.
Yep. Do you see any way around it? Any means to fix the block in the S Bend?
Yeah, we need to really change our representatives and increase the education of our populace to say, look, you don't have to be saying shut the gates, let no one else in. We have to build the nation. The people are already coming. We're a nation which only had a good sprint to develop itself before being elevated into being named a first world country. We had less time than any of these other powers to get ourselves up to that standard. We did a very good job. We're a nation that people came to and were sent to in chains, and now people from around the world are coming to Australia to be free. And we have to be proud of that fact, that we've gone from that to a point where people want to come. So it's not a case of build it and they'll come. We've built it, but we stopped building it.
Well, the interesting issue about that, Jack, is that we haven't stopped building. It's just what we're doing isn't necessarily the optimum way of doing things. Now, for example, we're spending trillions of dollars on renewable energy. So there's a lot being built, wind farms, solar farms, all the infrastructure on people's rooftops, you name it, electric cars. Things have changed. We've moved on. The question that we always have at the dining room table is, are we making the right moves? Was it the right move to get rid of the Australian automobile industry? Was it the right move to be changing agriculture the way we have? Is it the right move to complicate taxation? Is it the right move for a whole range of different issues?
Is it the right move to find a country where 54% of the population either works for the government or is on some sort of government welfare, some sort of pension? I reckon we're an able-bodied country. We can do stuff.
And look, many people now are protesting around Australia about the levels of immigration. It's not about racism. It's the levels of immigration to match our existing infrastructure. And that leads me to the question that, people like yourself who are prepared to stand up and talk, how do we actually get into people's minds so that they're not apathetic and not prepared to be part of the solution for the future, their own future, by actually being more active in, investing in their future?
But Jack, we've got a whole population of people who are prepared to listen to this net zero stuff and bankrupt the country, send people bankrupt, send jobs to the wall. and they're doing it without question, for no reason, no purpose. We can't save the world because we're not creating the problem that apparently the world is creating, that is global warming or whatever the hell they say it is. We account for 1% of global emissions. It doesn't matter what we do in this country. Why would we let a government send us broke to turn 1 into a 0? Why? And yet the population seem to be buying it. They're swallowing it.
Now, that brings up a word which I believe so many people don't understand, and that is the word sustainability. Now, sustainability needs to be economic. It's the basis of it. If you can't do something economically, well, you don't do it. So you, as a business, look at the government as a business and go, okay, we're going to be doing this thing that's going to hamstring us. It's going to cost us a lot of money. Is it actually worth it?
Is it worth it? Yeah.
And it's not. It's sustainability is, call it the goal. Australia has been a nation about sustainability, being able to sustain a population, making sure that people are alive, making sure we've got food and water. So we need to come back to and just ask them, is it sustainable to be spending this much money on renewable energies at the detriment of our nation? And the answer being, oh, well, we'll just tax you more rather than using the natural wealth of our country appropriately. If we looked at the government as salespeople, they're our salesmen to the world, they're representatives. The government is supposed to be there to facilitate business and development and provide some services which are essential. And we would just need to look at them and go, well, hang on, you're fired. Like, outright. You're giving away our product for nothing to benefit our nation.
You're
the politician is benefiting themselves.
You're correct.
And we'd call that insider trading.
You're correct in what you're saying, Jack, but the mechanism to actually activate what you're saying, I mean, we have a situation in Australia now where the Prime Minister, Bowen, and these people, it doesn't matter what anyone says, what data they put up, they are just hell-bent on doing what they're doing. We don't have a Liberal Party opposition that's making. In fact, the Liberal Party is all at sea with this. They can't enunciate a philosophy or a policy. They're bickering, infighting. I mean, the only people left to do something about all this is people out in the street. But how do you get the people out in the street to actually, scratch their scone and say, oh, well, we need to do something. Let's get rid of this mob. How do we do it, Jack?
Well, not only didn't we get rid of them, they got elected with an increased majority.
And they'll be there for another 1 or 2 terms at least.
And you know why? Because they're disciplined, very disciplined politicians. The Liberals are not. They're arguing with themselves. Yeah. Oh, God.
So what do we do, Jack? What do we do?
Look, we've got the Liberal Party who lacks conviction. Now, it's become a massive issue, and this is part to do with the media, the media game and sales. And so the Liberal Party will say something, deliver a policy, they'll cop a little bit of criticism, and then they'll backflip on it, and they'll change. And then they come up with something else, they backflip, they continue doing it. They're like a damn gymnast. Now, that leads to people not trusting them because, well, they're going to change their mind. They don't know what they're doing. They haven't got a clear set of goals. We don't know which direction they're actually going in. And if they just said it and stuck by it, that would lead people to actually trust them more. And that's their fundamental problem. They've sort of lost the plot. We've got another party who is, look, if you go against us, you're out. We're going to say this, we're going to do it, we're on. This is the party line. And I think we are seeing that people want change. People are waking up a bit more to, hang on a second, we have a responsibility here. And people are slowly realising that your political will, your role in politics doesn't end when the vote is finished being counted. The only issue we have is the politicians aren't listening to us. Our representatives don't listen. We've got politicians here in Western Australia who won't respond to an email, a phone call, or anything from their constituents. Now, that's a shame. That is a disappointment, because I fall back to that constitutional right. The one of 5 things that we actually have as a right is to select our politicians as a person. And you should be able to talk to a person. We should be able to have a conversation. I think arguments are actually one of the best forms of communication, because you listen, you respond, and you walk away, and your ideas should be challenged, and you should have a slightly different perspective. The entire point is to have a conversation with someone, see things from their point of view, hear their points, their aspect, and develop a solution that works for everyone. But now we've got it where this is the solution, it's the only solution, and we end up with policies coming before Parliament that half of the people in there will vote against just because it was the other guys that came up with it. But it was a good idea, and it was going to be good for the nation and good for the people, but we're going to say no to it just because you're red or you're blue. And that is the problem we have.
Do you have any political heroes?
Oh, I've got to say that there's political inspiration and people that I respect. And I guess if you say political heroes, I actually have to go across the sea and look at JFK.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. That's a good one.
It was interesting. During the week, Professor Ian Plymer made the comment about the way our politics in Australia is going, and he likened it to other countries where he believes Australia is becoming more and more totalitarian. In other words, the government has its way and isn't prepared to listen to anyone and wants to stifle free speech.
Yeah.
Well, I would say that, yes, we are getting to a point where we're seeing these misinformation bills. We're seeing entire shutdown of the Freedom of Information Act. Like, we've got the most secretive government we've ever had. And it's because people want to know the truth behind the decisions. And we've got a government who's saying, no, sorry, that's confidential. Sorry, mate, no, you can't look at it.
And we've got a population who swallowed that. And instead of being outraged, I mean, what's wrong with us? We're so compliant.
Apathetic we are.
Apathetic.
Yeah.
We just go along with it. Oh, the government, they know best. Well, they don't. 9 times out of 10. They may know what's best for them, but... Yeah.
But even when governments blatantly lie, I mean, we've spent a bit of time this morning talking about energy costs, and we were meant to get a rebate from the government. We never did, despite the fact that hundreds of times live to air they told us we were going to get this money. We're still waiting, and we're still waiting for energy to be cheaper, and that'll never happen.
Just lie, and keep lying.
But they get away with it.
Yeah, they do, and get re-elected with an increased majority.
Why the hell do we need a rebate? Why do we need to subsidise something if it's good for adoption? When you're subsidising something, it is purely to increase the adoption and to get people to go, oh, hang on, yes, it's to breach the unknown, to go to people, hey, look, put a rooftop solar on and it's going to cut your energy bills.
Yeah.
And it was to encourage people to take that risk and put it on there, and then it should have stopped. And if you continue to subsidise an industry in that manner, well, hell, it's not going to work and it's not going to progress it. Like the environment, why are we subsidising small things like this when we are, again, selling at wholesale prices our nation's resources, then we buy it back at retail? Again, that's like JFK said, farmers are the only ones that sell at wholesale, buy at retail. And Australia has ended up in a position where we are doing that en masse at an entire aspect.
Yeah.
We sell our iron ore. We don't even make it here. We sell our oil. We sell our gas. We buy it back at a higher price. Why?
Because we're dumb. They wouldn't subsidise the motor car industry, yet that employed thousands and thousands of people. Yet if you took all the subsidies that the renewables, in inverted commas, get lavished with, nobody would touch them with a 40-foot barge pole.
Well, the only way the renewables program works is through subsidies.
Well, subsidies and rebates, you're creating a totally artificial situation.
I mean, the public has been totally blindsided and totally ignorant and totally apathetic to recognising that there's only one group of people in the community who are paying for all this, and that's the public, through energy prices. Instead of having the most affordable electricity on the planet, we've got the most expensive.
Well, Jack, when are you going into politics? Or are you going into politics?
Look, I've run twice. I've run for the lower house and I've run it for the upper house in state.
And you didn't win?
No, I didn't. I could have done a lot more to get out there and about, but it's a little challenging when realistically the media only presents, two options to everybody.
Yeah.
And they'll vote for the less bad.
Were you running as an independent?
No, I was running with a party. I was running with the Shooters, Fishers and Farmers Party. They had approached me and they said, hey, look, we reckon you'd be a good fit, a good candidate, and, do you want to have a run? Now, the biggest smile I have, and this is in the post our state election here, is that I'm not going to mention which parties, but I have been approached by, you call them two major parties, and they said, if you'd run for us, we didn't know you were running. If you'd run for us, we would have done a lot better. And you sit there and go, well, that's nice after the fact. And I sit there and go, well, would I just be being used and end up, hamstrung and being a mushroom that I can only do what they have told me. I want to be the dog that's been let off the leash to use my free will and say what the people really want to have imparted.
Well, you'll get there. Yeah. I know you'll get there because I've watched these. Now, how do people find you? I'm not even sure. No, I know.
They do say, Jack, third time lucky in politics. So go for it.
I'm trying to think of who sent me your podcast or a link to it, but that doesn't matter. How do people get to look at the stuff you do?
You genuinely just Google Jack Out the Back.
Jack Out the Back?
Yep.
Okay.
And I'll pop out. You'll see a lot of things which some people have said, that's going to make you unelectable to 99% of the population. And you'll be surprised.
No, I disagree.
Yeah.
You do a lot of common sense, and people don't respond to common sense. There's no hope for any of us.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that feel as if they aren't being heard, and there's a lot of people out there that are scared about standing up because it'll paint a target on their back. That they're going to have some sort of investigation into them and end up being harassed left, right and centre.
Oh, well, your whole your private life will be scrutinised, and if they can find something that's negative, they'll run with that. Are you married?
Yes, I am married and I have 3 lovely children.
Uh-huh. And you're full-time on the farm?
Yes, so we've got a property which is just about smack bang the centre of Western Australia.
How big is it? How big is it?
1 million acres.
My God.
So
I mean, look, you could secede yourself. That's enough. You could do that.
But how would that benefit the people?
Well, I like your attitude. That's a benevolent, lovely thing to say, but I don't know. There's a time, when you have to abandon ship if it keeps on going the way it's going.
Look, there's hope yet.
Anyway, let's keep in touch, Jack. You just be satisfied that you are garnering a following.
Yeah, and that's good. And I think in closing as a statement, I guess I could say that the apathy of Australians is often abused, and you look around at Australians when we travel, when we're overseas, and we are calm. We're placid. We're pretty chilled. It takes a lot to annoy an Australian. Yeah. But then when an Australian is annoyed, you watch out. And we've got Australians now who are getting annoyed, and we need to make sure that that's managed in a respectful manner that allows people to feel heard and is safe and we just need to, I'm going to say the thing, that we play the game like gentlemen. We make sure that we can hold our heads up high and say we're proud of the way that we did things. And we've achieved the result without resorting to other means which are not as nice. So, yeah.
My statistician just did a quick calculation and he said that's about 1,500 square miles of property. You must do a pretty good barbecue, Jack.
It's a hell of a lawn if you have to mow it. That's a hell of a lawn.
A few weeds to pull.
Look, it's six times Singapore. What is 1.3 Luxembourg's? Bigger than Sydney. It's
wow. What do you call the farm? What are your station? What do you call it?
So this is Prenti Downs.
What is it?
Prenti Downs. Prenti.
Oh, Prenti Downs. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
How many head of cattle have you got running there?
Around 3,500 head at the moment.
Well, they have a very nice life, I'm sure. Jack, look after yourself. We'll keep in touch. I will now call you not Jack out the back, but I will call you the bush philosopher. All right?
You're setting a high bar.
Take care of yourself.
You too. Cheers.
Jack Comedy is his name.
Can't find a friend, you still got the radio. Singing with the radio. Can't find a friend, you still got the radio. The radio. Still got the radio. The radio. Listen to the radio. Still got the radio. Listen to the radio. The radio. Listen to the radio. The radio. Listen to the radio.
Listen to the radio. You can listen to the radio or you can be on the radio. It's just a simple question of ringing us. It's 0491 65 68 60. I'm just trying to find out whether my next guest is a doctor, a professor. I don't know. She's a psychotherapist, ladies and gentlemen. Rachel McCall, welcome to the dining room table.
Oh, thank you, Jeremy. Lovely to meet you.
Very nice to meet you. What does a psychotherapist do?
Oh, look, it's a fancy name for a therapist. It's a counsellor. Going to talk to someone about stuff you're worried about, pretty much, or stuff that you need to unpack and talk through. So it's a therapist. It's similar to a clinical psychologist, really.
How do you know if you need a psychotherapist? What are the signs?
What are the signs? Oh, most people might come and see me if they just feel like they're not quite coping, I guess, or if they feel like they need to make a change but don't quite know how, feeling a bit stuck in life, anything really where you're feeling a bit of distress but you're not quite sure what to do with it, I imagine.
So what do? You talk to them or you just let them talk?
I try and let them talk as much as possible. And then sometimes it's me do a bit of talking to ask some questions and help them find answers that they often already know themselves. But it's that kind of process of talking, really. Yeah, back and forth. Lots of listening.
And what do we do, Rachel, with, we've had things in Australia called Are You OK Day?
Yeah.
Where we try and look at our friends and colleagues and family. The young guy who's killed Charlie Kirk or allegedly killed Charlie Kirk, obviously a very troubled person. How do we, as individuals in society, gauge someone's stability or mental health? What signs would we look for as just citizens?
Oh, that's a really good question. And, obviously we're not all walking around as mental health professionals, so it's a really tough question to answer, to be honest. But I think as humans, we are empathetic, we're compassionate. And I think when we connect with other humans and get a sense of how are you going, well, that's the premise of Are You OK Day, is an opportunity to just really connect with another human being and just find out how they are. And I think that's the crux of it, really. And sometimes people might come back with, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure how I am. I don't really know what to do with that. And it's not always our responsibility as fellow human beings to have the answers, but there's so much research to indicate that when another human being can hold a space for you to talk or to share whatever you're experiencing, that is therapeutic. So that is, in essence, a way of feeling less alone. It's a way of feeling part of something that's bigger than you. Just that process of someone caring enough to check in with you is helpful. So, yeah, I mean, I guess that's really the basis of what therapy is. It's being able to hold a space for someone else, for them to express their emotions. Yeah.
Well, and I guess you're at the dining room table here this morning, you're surrounded by an older cohort of people.
Yeah.
Compared to
Speak for yourself.
Oh, well, an older, more full of wisdom group of people.
Yeah.
But the younger generation have different ideals, different philosophies in life to what we would have had at their age. This diversity, inclusion, woke type of issues. In the work you're doing, I mean, I feel personally that a lot of kids nowadays are troubled by some of these woke ideals and they're not quite sure how to fit in society. The type of work you're doing, are you finding kids are now more troubled than they used to be?
Well, yeah, social media is a big factor. I think I don't know if kids are more troubled than they were. I mean, I haven't been working as a therapist for my whole life. So, I mean, I'm 45. It was a bit of a career change for me in my 40s. I went back to uni. So I can't say with any authority whether things are more hard for people or for kids than they were any time before. I think that we're building a language as a community about how we talk about how we talk about challenges, how we talk about not fitting in, how we talk about not feeling belonging. I think we are increasing the way and the ways in which we are able to speak about that with each other. And I think maybe it might come across as people are more troubled, but it also comes across to me as we've got an environment now where it's not as taboo or shameful to be able to express when you're going through challenging times. That's what makes us human. So it's not really necessarily an answer to your question. I mean, I'm of the school of thought that any opportunity for people to feel like they can talk about how they don't know where they fit or how they don't know how to navigate the world or society it increases a sense of vulnerability and it increases a sense of us connecting. So,
I have another question, Rachel, which you would have experience of. I mean, we've gone through the COVID pandemic high period, and it's somewhat in the rearview mirror and behind us, but not really, because the effects of COVID, for kids, isolation, for adults, isolation, people have been vaccine injured. I mean, there's more and more data coming to the surface about that. I mean, the government doesn't necessarily want to promote vaccine injuries for obvious reasons, and Big Pharma certainly doesn't want to. But there's a host of issues that are around COVID post the pandemic. Are you finding people are now coming to you with these type of problems?
Oh, definitely. I think COVID's had a big impact. It's an enormous impact in people's lives. So we'd be naive to think that hasn't had a prolonged effect on how we're going, really. So you definitely, it comes up a lot in conversations with people when they come to see me. That increased isolation is a huge one. I think that disconnect that we started to feel from when it started to feel quite polarised between people who thought a certain way versus other views, we started to feel less physical contact with our neighbourhoods, less physical contact with the people that we were once close to. All of those have a massive impact on how connected we feel. And basically human connection or lack of human connection is related to depression. It's related to anxiety. When we are in distress or mental distress, it's often connected to not feeling connected. And COVID had, a big impact on that in lots of ways for people. And, for some people it was positive in the sense that they became more connected to their local communities in ways that they perhaps didn't have time for before because they were so caught up in work and other commitments. So it reminded us, I think it existed as this really apparent and stark reminder of how important human connection is to us, but it also made that more difficult for many people. So it's a massive impact, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what the other thing the day was, celebrating the day. today is National Overthinkers Day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Well, it's the day for me then.
Are we overthinking too many things? Because I look around and I think to myself, at the age of 80, I think when I grew up, there was a clear focus and direction. There weren't any drugs or anything like that, and it was a very simple sort of life. But there was no such thing as dyslexia, dyspraxia, autism, all sorts of things that have sort of erupted. Have they erupted and arrived because we were looking for them, or we were encouraging them, trying to find things that didn't really need to be found? The NDIS? Yes, well, I mean, when you look at the increase in a number of these problems, it does seem to coincide with the NDIS.
Oh, gosh, I think they're all questions that I don't necessarily feel qualified to answer, actually, Jeremy.
But what's the most common thing people come to you and ask you about?
Oh, anxiety is really, really big.
What
really
are they
common.
anxious about?
Well, anxiety is it's a state, I guess it's a state of being, but it's also a response to a situation.
But everyone gets anxious. You just cope with it.
Of course, yeah, of course. But modern life, right, is challenging in different ways to perhaps how it was. I mean, perhaps how it was 70 years ago. We are existing now in a state of, I mean, you would have heard of fight or flight, which is basically what being in a state of anxiety is, when your nervous system is in a constant state of alert. So we are in an environment now where we are more often in a state of fight or flight because we are responding to our environment that demands so much of us. It demands us to be on so much. It demands us to feel like we are measuring up to protect ourselves, essentially. The fight or flight system or nervous system is the survival mechanism. It's there to keep us safe and make sure that we are on alert so that we can defend off or protect ourselves from anything that we need to.
But if you specifically analyse those issues of anxiety. Now, is it for some people climate change? Is it for some people cost of living? Is it for some people politics? Is it a religious issue? Can you identify specifics that
have you ever had
trigger people? Or something?
All of those things. All of those things. But it's all very unique as well.
Have you ever had somebody come to you literally to talk about his or her anxiety over climate change? This is in the minds of these Canberra people. It doesn't no one else's mind.
Certainly, I've had lots of conversations with younger people where that is a big factor. Yes.
Really, what do they consider the factor?
Well, it's different for every person, so it's hard for me to generalise. But I think there is quite a big level of concern about what will the world be like for me when I'm older. How will I have clean air to breathe? Will I be okay? But I think that is a factor for some people.
Well, when I was growing up, the major thing was atomic war, because it was going to be an atomic war. Yeah. We were, what was the old doomsday clock? We were 2 minutes or 1 minute to midnight. And that's enough to scare the kids.
And then there was the scare of commies under the bed. Yeah. All those years ago.
Yeah.
And now we've got them in Canberra.
Lots everywhere.
Well, they got out from under the bed. Yeah. They're in the chair.
They're growing everywhere.
What? We know where they are. But the trouble is they know where we are.
But if someone has a fixation about climate change, I mean, what do you do with them in terms of, because you may not necessarily have the technical answer to dissolve their distress. So is it just simply a matter of talking through the issues and encouraging them to do their research, or do you send them off somewhere else? send them to Ian Plimer?
Well, as a therapist, it's my job is not there to solve external problems, right? And as humans, like there's a level of being able to work out what we can control and what we can't control. And so it's helping people understand what it is they do have control over in their lives and what they don't have control over in their lives, and where it is that they can make change or take action because in an area that aligns with their values. If they want to see change in a certain way, it's working out how it is that you might be able to contribute to that change and take action that is meaningful for you.
So you're a sounding board in a sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So their comments reverberate from you, and you just tease out and keep talking with them. I mean, what do you do with someone who you find now, oops, this one's gone a little bit too far and it's just more than talk that they need? They might, because you can't prescribe drugs.
No, absolutely.
So you obviously would have to refer some people to a...
Yeah, and it's usually a good collaboration with a GP, and you know, because and writing to their GP and saying, hey, you know, I've been seeing this client, and they're going to come back and see you and have some conversations around whether or not either another type of therapy or whether they want to explore medication. So it's that kind of partnership approach. And certainly, if I think a different avenue for someone, you know, it might be that they you need to perhaps explore a different type of therapy. It might be something like somatic therapy, which is much more kind of body experience based, or EMDR, which is has proven to be really, really effective working with trauma. And so, you know, sometimes, you do get to a point where, like, you know, I reckon maybe trying something else might be helpful for you. But often medication and therapy at the same time is a really good approach. So, I'm anything that's going to be helpful for people with, I actually, Oh, there's heaps of research to indicate how helpful that is. I would actually like to do some more study in that space myself.
But how helpful was what? We couldn't hear you on the mic.
Sorry, I just saying hypnotherapy.
Oh, hypnotherapy, yes. Do you have the police on speed dial, just in case?
The police on speed dial? Well, yeah, you know, I know the phone number.
She's got a 9mm under the counter.
Well, it's sometimes. Be prepared, you know. Be prepared.
Yeah. It's fascinating to talk about, though, isn't it?
And your craft, I mean, I used to laugh as a young person that we always heard stories that in America everyone had a shrink.
Yeah,
it was just the way things were going.
Yeah.
Are you a shrink?
I guess so, yeah.
But is this now developing in Australia as being, for more and more people, a regular activity that whilst you go to a GP or the gym, you go to see a therapist? Or we're not quite there yet?
Look, I don't know. I haven't looked at the stats in terms of population, per capita use of a therapist versus, 20 years ago.
But you obviously have enough work to keep you going.
Yeah. But I think psychologists have been in demand for a very long time. I'm a psychotherapist, but there's a lot of overlap. But I'm not sure if we're going down the path of everyone needs a shrink. But I mean, you know, I think it's always beneficial if even if you go along for one session or two sessions with someone who's skilled and practiced in how to have these types of conversations. I think that can be helpful for anyone.
How do you feel about interpersonal skills that people have got nowadays? I mean, we look at a person like Charlie Kirk, who was prepared to negotiate and debate and talk to people very placidly, I might add. Every bit of work I saw him do, he was very cool, calm, collected. He didn't denigrate people. He was very open, very positive. But he just wanted to say to people, well, you know, you have your view. Why do you have that view? And challenge them. Are people now, the young people, well versed with interpersonal skills, although it's not been trained well at through the education system?
Oh, look, I think as with any society at any time, there's massive variation. I think there are huge amounts of young people who are extremely well versed in how to have complex and dynamic and conversations that don't turn into being really polarised. I think we are learning a lot about that through what we observe and what not to do and what is not helpful. But similarly, there are so many in the community that can only be really polarised and can't seem to have a conversation with anyone that has a different view to them. I don't know. Is there a big change? I think we're certainly, I guess we're seeing that we're becoming more and more polarised, aren't we? Like it's
well, on the issue of polarisation, can I ask this question? I mean, often at the dining room table, and Jeremy in his podcast during the week made comment about these large companies and their marketing departments, and the marketing departments being run by kids. And I mean, there's a host of very large international companies, and I'll just cite one, Bud Light, which was is owned by Anheuser-Busch, one of the largest beverage companies on the planet.
All right.
And you would think they were pretty slick and smart with their marketing and their sales.
Yeah.
But they got Dylan Mulvaney as a transgender woman to be part of their advertising, and they polarised their clients immediately to the point where they lost millions upon millions of dollars worth of sales. Now, there's a long, long list of these large companies that have lost huge revenue because they've made mistakes in marketing done by very young people who are obviously in a new generation as society changes. And this is, I guess, the perpetual conflict between older generation folk and the young. The young are up and coming and they think they know everything and they start making these decisions.
But you've got to know your customer. And the average beer drinker in America of Bud Light, I mean, he's not going to be down the transgender track, is he?
But we
wouldn't even understand it.
It's like Victoria's Secret, and again, this diversity inclusion subject. They decided that they needed plus-size women in their advertising, large women, but that didn't suit the clientele looking at large women in intimate apparel. So their sales were affected, but the young people thought that was a good idea.
A good idea, inclusive and all of that.
So the challenge I put to you is that, are people troubled by all this?
This is a question I can't answer. I'm a therapist, and people come to talk to me about challenges in their life. What you're talking about is marketing decisions of companies and whether or not they're kind of meeting what they think their customers are looking for. I mean, that's stuff I can't answer. I mean, this is big changes happening in terms of public perception of what they would like to see in their communities, and that, of course, that changes over time.
But you've got to be careful not to get ahead. Don't get ahead of your customer.
But what I'm putting to you is that, let's say, for example, the LGBTQ community. There are obviously people who want to have that promoted and that be part of society and to be accepted and to be included.
Yeah, of course.
But there must be people who would come to you because they're troubled because they feel they're not being included.
Absolutely.
Despite all the work that's been done and the promotion and the push for it.
Yeah. People's experience of distress, of not feeling accepted, is enormous. And I think we've got a long way to go as a society to become more accepting. Absolutely. So I think increased conversations about diversity in a respectful way is what we need as a society, so that all humans feel like they have a place to be here. That's the perspective that I come from. But certainly people come and talk to me because they're feeling like they're not accepted the way that they are and the way that they are authentically being in this world. And I think that's a cause for
So I guess
finding support.
The folk around the table in the main are people who believe that in the main majority rules, and as such policy and decisions should be about majority rules rather than trying to put everyone in the same basket, then that becomes then the challenge of diversity and inclusion, because the diversity inclusion people want everyone in the same basket. But in a practical sense, that doesn't always work.
The phone rang and I've got no idea who's on the other end. Hello? Oh, it must have been a wrong number or something. Anyway. Somebody once sent me, when I was with DN, I was going through some interesting, challenging times, if you like, and somebody sent me, it was sort of not a plaque so much as a little scroll, and it said, I think it's actually the Alcoholic's Prayer. Mm-hmm. It's help me to change the things I can change.
Yeah, the Serenity Prayer.
And accept the things I can't.
Yeah.
And God, give me the wisdom to know the difference between the two.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's
It's very, very
wise.
Helpful. I agree.
Very wise. What's the most interesting phobia somebody has come along and said, I wash my hands a lot. I'm scared of I'm scared of school. God, I was scared of school. I must have had school phobia.
You were scared of the strap. Being belted for being a naughty boy.
Don't remind me. Your most interesting phobia?
Look, I haven't necessarily had people come to see me with like super interesting phobias, but there's a lot around school. Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, and certainly phobias of getting sick. And you know, I think there's a connection to COVID there as well. Phobias of getting sick, or if that they're, you know, something that they're not going to be able to be well enough, you know, that kind of thing. So it's not necessarily like super out of the box interesting, but
How do you know if you are going crazy? Are there definite signs? I mean, looking for hairs on the palm of your hand. I mean, are there any classic signs?
Classic signs. Yeah.
Things to watch out for.
They used to say, like, if you were talking to yourself, but, you know, I talk to myself all the time.
Oh, me too.
Yeah. Look, I think I think most of us don't go crazy. I think most of us have a kind of understandable reaction to what is happening in our world. And so that's not going crazy, but it's certainly feeling like we're not able to manage mentally with the stress of that. So, you know, what are the signs? I think sometimes the signs are that you can't enjoy the things that you used to enjoy, or that you can't necessarily function in a way with that you used to function because you are so distracted, or you're so kind of in fight or flight mode all of the time that your brain's not necessarily interacting in the way that you might like. So it's those sorts of signs where you just feel that like really unsettled and you don't know why. That's not going crazy. It's an indication that perhaps you might need some support.
So in a practical sense, someone comes to see you. Number one, how long would an average session be? Number two, do you prop them on a chaise lounge, or do you, what do you do to them to relax them and make them ply them with red wine?
Oh yeah, wouldn't that be great?
All the above.
Yeah. All of the above. Yeah. You know, before I went into it, I thought, I'm going to get myself like a really nice couch for my little consulting room. No, basically, I've got two really comfy chairs. Some people have couches. I think that's the old psychoanalytic Freudian days. People would lie on the couch and they wouldn't necessarily have eye contact, or they wouldn't have eye contact, actually. That's a sort of quite a psychoanalytic or old school shrink way of doing things. The way I do things is
so how long would a session take? I mean, how long does it take for someone to unwind and start to spill the beans?
Spill the beans. Yeah, I have sessions go for between 50 minutes to an hour, and look, you know, sometimes that rapport doesn't happen immediately. Sometimes people might come in and, you know, take a while to actually feel like, oh my God, I can talk about what I'm actually feeling. So that takes a while, and sometimes that can take quite a few sessions. But it's for me. Some people work differently, but the way I work is it's really kind of depending on what that client needs. So it might be that we just have one session and that's kind of what they were looking for because they were wanting a bit of steering in a certain direction. Others, it might be that they come back weekly or fortnightly until maybe they feel like they're feeling a bit more stabilised, and then it might turn into maybe monthly, and then they might be like, okay, I reckon you're doing all right. Come back and see me if you need, you know.
What's the difference between a therapist and an analyst?
Oh, yeah. Really good question. I'm thinking, God, do I know the answer to that? A therapist, really, what I do, my focus is purely on what happens in the room with another person, that therapeutic process, and you might use different modalities like everybody would have heard of cognitive behavioural therapy. I use an integrated approach of also using acceptance and commitment therapy, mindfulness-based approaches, compassion-focused therapy. There's emotion-focused therapy. There's lots of different modalities that a therapist would engage with clients. A psychoanalyst would be very experienced in the field of Freud's work, potentially Jung's work, and that is quite a specialised approach. Still, psychoanalysts will provide therapy, so they are therapists as well. It's in a more I guess it's in a really targeted way using the psychoanalytic approach.
So you don't have those ink blot things, do you?
Those what, sorry?
The ink blot things, you know. Tell me what you see in this.
No.
You don't do that?
Yeah, no. It's purely relational, I guess, what I do, which is talking with another person.
Do you sign up, or do you have an oath when somebody comes along and confesses something terrible to you and you are sworn to silence?
Confession box. Yeah, so we do have, some regulations that we're bound to. I'm assigned to both the Australian Counselling Association and PACFA, which is the Psychotherapy and Counselling Federation.
There's an association for everything, isn't there?
I know, right?
It's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we have a code of ethics, essentially, which means that our sessions are confidential, but there are some limits to that confidentiality. And if we're really concerned that someone's going to hurt themselves or hurt someone else, then we need to kind of not seek that client's consent.
Well, the cops are on the speed dial, remember?
Yeah, that's right.
I guess still, essentially, most of your work is issues of the mind, one way or the other.
Yeah.
Is there a large percentage of people who are there because they are injured, workplace injury or car accidents, and then that causes issues of the mind?
Yes, there'd be a lot of people, but they wouldn't necessarily come and see me because that's probably not my specialty, if that makes sense. But they may come to see me because, they've had issues with what's happened with work and then are going through a bit of an identity crisis because they don't know what to do with their lives now. And then, that's a big factor on their well-being. And a big factor of what I work with as clients is how to increase your well-being. What changes can you make in your life that can mean that you can actually experience more joy, experience more sense of wholeness, or feeling grounded. So, a lot of people would be experiencing those things, but I may not be the go-to person for work cover, if that makes sense.
Wonderful to see you. Thank you very much for coming in.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Will you sign our visitors book?
Absolutely.
It's up there somewhere. There it is. I mean, you could psychoanalyze a few in there, I can tell you.
Oh, my God. Well,
Rachel McCall, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Day seems shorter than it ever did before, and the evening breeze gets cooler day by day. And the morning sun is always shining down on my back door, and your laughter washes all my cares away. And there's not a day goes by that I don't look up to the sky and humbly thank the good Lord up above for bringing you to me in time to make me realize that all the poor man really needs is love. Now I've got everything a man could ever need. I got dreams to dream and songs to sing in the morning. I got hands to hold my baby child and eyes to watch my woman smile. I've got everything a man could ever need. I've got everything a man could ever need.
It'll never go astray, will it? A miracle, I mean.
And the next guest, I'm sure, has produced many of them.
All we need is a miracle. Yes, indeed. Now, it's a little embarrassing because I don't know how to address him. Colonel, Sir, Professor John Crompton, AM. Sir, you're going to have to get a bigger business card.
I'm no longer in business.
Look, you can't leave all that behind you. Ophthalmologist.
I won't ask you how to spell it, though.
No, don't. No.
Unless you're a Greek scholar.
No, I'm hardly a scholar at all. But your name has been associated, particularly in my mind anyway, with the Women's and Children's Hospital here in Adelaide for years.
No, it was more the RAH, because I was only a visitor on demand, consultant at the Women's and Children's. I guess it was from mid-80s till about 2005 or so. But whereas I had 40 years at the RAH.
And you've had an amazing overseas life as well.
Yes, I had I've had over 80 field trips to various countries in the Pacific and then Asia, Southeast Asia and China.
How have you fitted so much in?
A very tolerant spouse and children.
Yeah.
Certainly couldn't have done it without their cognizance. But I've always enjoyed it. I started my experience as a trainee at the Eye and Ear and then the Royal Melbourne Hospital back in 1975 when I was invited to go as part of a surgical team to the Solomon Islands.
Mm-hmm.
This is funded by, I think it was called ADAB in those days. Now it's AusAid, but they keep changing names, like most government agencies.
Mm-hmm.
And we provided, they didn't have any eye surgeons at all in that country. And we would go and do surgery in about 3 or 4 different islands, parts of the Solomons, and hand out glasses and help medical eye problems and do a lot of surgery. And there'd be a team going every year, and they did this for about 40 years, I guess. But now they've got some of their own eye surgeons, and they need it. So it's really a matter of, with aid, you should teach people how to fish. And we shouldn't be giving them fish. We should be teaching them how to look after their own people. But I worked for many years on the Atoll Islands in Kiribati, which is in the middle of the Pacific between where the date line crosses the equator. And it's a series of atolls, and also Tuvalu, which used to be the Ellis Islands. It was a British dependency. And there are a series of atolls, and particularly Tuvalu, back in the 90s only had about, I think, 6,000 population spread over an enormous area. And they had trouble keeping, and the same thing in Kiribati, they had trouble keeping their own general practitioners because the pay was so low, and they were attracted to go to more populous nations.
Sure.
And so they were relying on places like Cuba providing and India providing general practitioners, and they didn't have enough large enough population to keep an eye surgeon busy all year. It would have been a luxury, so which the country couldn't afford. So that's why Australia sent teams every year, or even 2 teams a year, to some of these places, and we would do the necessary surgery, and again hand out glasses and teach public health eye problems.
What drove you into ophthalmology? Was it? Was your father a doctor?
Yes, my father was the senior eye specialist at the Royal Adelaide, and I guess it was a matter of having a look at all the different subspecialties and deciding I didn't want to be this or that. I nearly did neurosurgery instead, but instead drifted into neuro-ophthalmology. That was my subspecialty.
Yeah.
What specifically is ophthalmology versus the general eye practitioner? Well, I mean, you specifically work on a section of the eye, or is it?
No, eye surgeons, which is what ophthalmology is, deal with the whole range of eye diseases from the front of the eye, from the eyelids, back to the brain, basically. Whereas optometrists, for example, they are now becoming more or less like GPs of eye problems, and they still specialise in glasses and contact lenses and so on. General practitioners, however, have a regrettably small amount of exposure to eye training. What's happening is that the science of medicine is increasing so fast and so extensive that each subspecialty is fighting with the deans of the faculties to try and get more exposure to the GP to the medical students, and as a result, the GPs are becoming less and less able to handle the common eye problems. So it is a problem.
It is an amazing specialty that you have. I mean, there could be really nothing more important than being able to see. So many things could go wrong. It's a miracle that more things don't go wrong.
Indeed, it is, yes.
The late Fred Hollows was instrumental in saving eyesight for many, many people, as his work after his death has continued to do. And that was largely through particular techniques that he developed. Have you been responsible for any specific techniques or strategies that have been landmark moves in your field?
I guess I've helped progress the science of neuro-ophthalmology. As I said, that was my specialty. Neuro-ophthalmology deals with a double vision, and here I remember having 3 different patients who came to me complaining of double division. So I congratulated them, and they gave me a very strange look. It's a lost art for those of us who did senior school last century. Anyway, and the other things are loss of vision, unexplained loss of vision, problems like inflammation of the optic nerve, droopy eyelids, pupil problems, and that sort of thing. That's what neuro-ophthalmology is all about. So it's the neurological aspects of eye disease. But I'd just like to set the record straight. Fred Hollows, everyone is aware of him because of the enormous publicity and advertising they do, whereas our work in the Pacific was started by Aspect, which was the Australian South Pacific Eye Care team, started by Dick Galbraith, an eye surgeon from Melbourne, from the Royal Melbourne Hospital. And he started his projects there in the Pacific decades before anyone had ever heard of Fred Hollows. And we were doing exactly, and still do exactly the same work, although Aspect is now folded and there are other Australian groups that go to the Pacific.
You said that science was moving very quickly in medicine. How fast is it moving with the eye?
Amazingly, there's a lot of work doing in genetic research to try and find family members who are liable to get the disease of their parents or relatives early on, and to take preventative action. And there's even gene surgery going on now for certain eye diseases.
Do you reckon they'll be able to fix macular degeneration?
Well,
one day?
Anything is possible. You never say no or impossible, because everyone's been proven wrong in various areas.
Perhaps you could just tell us what that is. It's
well, macular degeneration. The macula is the most sensitive area of your vision. In fact, the rest of the film in your camera is called the retina, and the very centre part is called the macula, and it's got all the colour vision. The cone, you have rods and cones for colour vision. Rods are for black and white and grey vision, and peripheral vision, whereas a macula is only for colour vision, has the only part for colour vision, and is only concerned with the very central few degrees, less than 5 degrees of your vision. But that's the most important part. And we use our peripheral vision to cause our brain to tell the eyes to move to focus the incoming rays of light onto the macula, so we can then perceive what we want to. So things go wrong at the macula. It's often an inherited condition, and problems occur in the biochemistry. See, if you think about sunlight hitting your skin, it's warm.
Yeah.
Now, if you think of a magnifying glass focusing those
Much
lights
warmer.
and rays, you burn your skin.
Yeah.
Now think about the eye. The front window, the cornea of your lens, of your eyeball, does 90% of the focusing of the incoming light, and the lens just sharpens the focus. So the cornea is more important than the lens. But that produces a very sharp beam of light on the macula. So that's an incredible amount of heat.
Yeah.
So nature, through evolution, has evolved a system of a heat sink. And our heat sink at the back of the eye, behind the retina, is a vascular layer called the choroid. And the choroid is full of blood vessels. So there's a huge flow of blood going through the choroid to take away the heat, to dissipate the heat. Otherwise, we'd cook our retinas and would go blind. And something goes wrong with the biochemistry, and you start to get, instead of the waste products being shipped away in the bloodstream or absorbed and taken away in the bloodstream, it accumulates. And that damages the photoreceptors, and you start to get blurry central bits missing out of your vision, the central vision only, whereas you have your entire outer field of vision that remains okay. But eventually you can lose all your central vision, but you never go totally blind.
No.
So people can still negotiate their surroundings with care.
But driving a car and doing things like that,
no,
would be a
they
problem.
lose that. Yes, certainly.
Yeah.
But there are many different types, subgroups of macular degeneration. So you shouldn't just lump them all together.
So it's an age thing. You don't find young people with
Extremely rare in young people. It can occur, but it's very rare, fortunately.
Somebody told me there were needles, because my mother had this, but she was, she was 99 when she died.
Yes.
The last 10 years was most annoying,
Yes.
because age is a terrible thing.
It is.
Should be outlawed. Should get rid of it.
Tell us all about it.
It tends to be fatal.
There's an end. There's always an end.
Yeah. Have you written a book?
Yes, I have written a book, but it was about my father's work in being that South Australia was the first place in the world to mandate that every eye drop and subsequently eye ointments had to be sterile when released to the public. Well, but about 10 years before, the US mandated that every eye drop had to be sterile. And his biggest problem with his eye colleagues interstate and politicians. The Director General of the PBS, Leonard Mallon, told a conference, a meeting about how to sterilise eye drops. He said it was neither possible nor and later too expensive to change the laws to make it sterile. And yet people were going blind after having cataract surgery because the drops they were putting in their eye was full of bacteria.
God. And it was too complicated to get it mandated to fix that. God.
Yeah, there are epidemics in every state in Australia after surgery, and no one was willing to do anything about it.
It's very common, cataract. Who's had a cataract operation? I have.
Not yet.
Not yet, no. No, but apparently...
Everyone develops cataracts if they live long enough.
Yes,
but they don't. But not everyone needs the surgery.
No, well, I used to see sort of a halo effect on things, and I went to the doctor, and he said, you'll get a completely new view of the world. And I thought, well, that would be good.
Yeah,
I could use that.
But you don't want to look in the mirror.
No, that's true.
I had several...
You avoid mirrors.
I had several patients who came to me and said, what have you done to my eyelids, having taken out their cataracts? All these lines I've got.
So
that's a little extra bonus, that's all.
So, Professor, over a 40-year career, you would have seen a great number of changes, as anyone would. And pardon the pun when I say see changes. Technology, knowledge, tools of the trade like lasers. Over 40 years, can you pinpoint, or would you say that there were particular things that happened over 40 years that made massive landmark changes in your profession? I mean, laser technology, for example, was that a major move forward, or medications of certain types?
I think the most important innovation in my lifetime has been the introduction of artificial lens implants after cataract surgery. In the old days, people had to wear so-called Coke bottle bottom thick lenses, which did magnify the vision but gave a lot of distortion, particularly to peripheral field. And they were so thick and clumsy, they were awful to wear. And when they were taken off, patients were legally blind because they had no means of focusing properly. So the lens implants was a very interesting story. It was a guy called Ridley who was knighted for his work, but he had been an Air Force eye surgeon during World War II, and he noticed that Spitfire and other fighter pilots who had been shot up and the canopies were made of perspex, and bits of perspex would be splattered through their faces and including inside their eyes. And he noted it didn't cause any inflammatory reaction because polymethyl methacrylate, which is perspex, is inert. And so he started making lens implants out of the perspex. But in those days, back in the 60s, they didn't have the machinery that could polish them properly, and they were rough, and that caused inflammation in the eye, and there were disastrous results. But he persevered, and now virtually everyone that has cataract surgery has an implant.
Yes, I have. But the thing that sort of worried me, not put me off, mind you, because you do see things much more clearly, and we can all do with that sort of therapy. But he said, well, this eye is going to be long distance, and this one is going to be short distance. And I said, well, how does that work? Now, look, your mind will adjust, and it'll look a bit funny, but you'll get used to it.
It compensates.
So, yeah, this is long distance, short distance, but it never has. I just don't have the mind for adjustment, clearly.
No, not everyone can, and I think it's so important for these problems, potential problems, to be discussed prior to selection of the type of implant to be put in your eyes.
Yeah. I would have much preferred just to make them both the same.
Yeah, I personally would prefer that.
Yeah. What about sunglasses? How important are sunglasses? Not for affectation, mind you, but for the practical business of keeping the light out of the eyes.
Yeah, I think we're certainly encouraging all children, particularly, to wear sunglasses, because there is evidence that too much UV light does hasten production of cataracts.
So the incidence of pterygiums is growing?
Yes, it is. We're the wrong pigmented skin colour to be living in South Australia, particularly. Okay.
What is pterygium? What did you say?
Well, it's like little blotches, I believe, growths on the outside of the...
Pterygium is from the Greek word pteryg, which means a wing. So pterodactyl is a winged dinosaur.
Right.
Pterygium is a fleshy growth that grows across with an apex pointing into the middle of the cornea, usually from the nose side of the eye. Very irritating, and if it can go right across the visual centre, and very annoying, and can be removed by surgery and can be prevented by wearing hats and sunglasses.
Those drops, and I'm thinking of Murine, and there are a few others that people take habitually, are they a good idea?
Very good for the manufacturers.
Yeah, they're not cheap, are they?
No. Salt and water is cheaper.
Really? And it's just a sort of a dry eye, or it's a feeling of grittiness or something like that. I don't know if that's because I've had the cataracts or not.
Yeah, no, it's nothing to do with that. Cataracts are inside your eye and you can't feel cataracts.
No.
Gritty eyes help by increasing the humidity and by blinking more often and using drops if you need them.
Do you think they'll ever cure blindness?
Well, blindness is caused by many, 100 different causes.
But you know how they fixed with the cochlear ear plant for...
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, well, the problem is one of my friends in London developed one of these bionic eyes, and it was all funded by research funds, and it cost the patient nothing. But then after it passed all the safety regulations and so on, they took it off the free list, and patients then had to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for it.
That's prohibitive.
Absolutely prohibitive. And so the research is, almost died. There is still some going in Australia, but the biggest advantage is AI. There's apps you can get on your phone which you hold up and use the camera, and it will tell you that they walk in the door here and they say there's a large table covered by a dark covered cloth with some very distinguished looking gentlemen sitting around. There's two windows, there's and then on the left hand side there's a fireplace, all this sort of stuff. And they can use it to mobilise safely. It is fantastic. And also it will recognise coinage. Yes. Because, the problem with the blind people paying things with shrapnel, they don't know whether it's a $2 coin or a 10-cent coin or whatever. Yeah. But this will recognise notes and coins.
Is eye transplant a workable thing nowadays?
They're still trying, but I think AI will be these camera setups are going to be far more effective, and also it'll read for you. It'll call out.
It's amazing. It's going to change everything, isn't it?
It has.
I don't know who's on the line, but somebody rang. Hello?
Oh, Jeremy, it's John, the man on the street.
How are you? What's on
Very well, thank you.
I've got Professor Crompton with me. What's on your mind?
Yes. Well, he's a very educated man. I've heard of him and his work, and I'm very pleased to have rung when he was on, but my comments don't necessarily relate directly to what he's talking about today. Firstly, the last person you had on air, I must say that the feedback that I have for that is that I believe that my marriage quite often is what I would describe as psychological, where occasionally my wife...
Your wife is your psychotherapist?
No, I think that she's the one who's psycho and I'm the one who's logical.
Oh, I see. Very good. You thought that one through. Yeah.
That sounds dangerous.
Yes.
It is, but it's very worthwhile. It's a great relationship. But secondly, I wanted to address these two politicians who have resigned at the same time.
Yeah.
And it sounds like there must have been some secret business happening in the background, like one of those sort of recommitment ceremonies where there was a meeting held where, someone said, okay, by this date, you need to tell us whether you're in or out for the whole team, so that we've got time to replace you and be ready for March next year.
Well, John, I got to warn you, it is National Overthinking Day, so, be careful.
Oh, thank you. I'm actually doing an overthinking day, so that makes a lot of psychological sense again.
Okay.
So we'll let that one just go to the keeper. But the thing that I'm most concerned about today is this Kirk assassination.
Yes.
Not so much about the assassination, because I think there's been enough commentary to say that assassination is not the way to resolve problems. A debate is very healthy, and communication is
well, especially not on a university campus, which is a place where ideas should be discussed and contested and argued and debated. And if you don't agree, well, sharpen up your own argument. But
you should be able to have robust discussions as humans and still walk away and respect each other.
No, absolutely. It's a different kind of student we're talking about, I'm afraid.
Yes, but this cancellation of this late night TV show for Jimmy Kimmel, this I think is a slippery slope. I believe he made some commentary, and I haven't seen what he actually said. And obviously, he's a comedian, so he might have overstepped the line.
Well, he alluded to the fact that that it was the far right of American politics that was behind the assassin. And that was just plain crazy and counter to all the latest news about this fellow's left-wing affiliations and obsessions. So it was a very mischievous thing for him to have said, and politically loaded.
And yes, people like Kimmel and Colbert have been very provocative against the right, and they've got away with it for years, and the chickens are coming home to roost.
Yeah. Well, I think sometimes when someone speaks the truth, And I remember, Jeremy, when you spoke the truth on a radio station and the consequences that occurred to you the day after, it should be that we have a bit more tolerance.
I was sacked because of my opinion.
Yes.
And that was a silly thing for a talk station to do, because a talk station must understand that when you are a talk presenter, 9 times out of 10 you're trying to provoke people to ring and agree with you or disagree with you. You can't sit there on the fence and mouth platitudes, because that is not going to rate.
Correct. So you need to be able to have someone who is the debate facilitator.
Well, you also have to have somebody who runs the radio station who understands the genre.
Yes, precisely. So I think that the fact that these executives have just cancelled his show is without any notice, without giving him an opportunity to apologise on air or to give comment on air and give clarification on air, is totally this discussion that goes against their freedom of speech that they have enshrined in their constitution. Now, everyone thinks in Australia we have freedom of speech. We don't.
It's not enshrined, is it?
No, we can speak freely, but we can also be sued.
Yeah.
In America, you can say whatever you want, wherever you want.
The left side of politics has always been protagonistic towards cancel culture, and now it's happening to them, so they're not particularly animated about it at all. They're not happy.
Professor, have you ever been tempted to be interested in politics? Although medicine, there's a lot of politics in medicine, is there not?
Yeah, I was president of our Australasian College of Ophthalmologists, of eye surgeons, so that's very political.
But they're not militant?
No.
Are you happy with the way in which medicine is administered in this country?
No, I'm not happy that hospitals are run by non-medicos.
Bureaucrats.
They're run by bean counters and bureaucrats to the detriment of the care given to the public.
How did that happen?
Bean counters, the federal government and the state governments who pay for the medicines and the hospitals, I guess, want to have more control. But certainly the heyday of medicine were the 70s and 80s when there was really unrestricted treatments available for people. But now health is being rationed, and I can see with the ageing population that you'll only be allowed to have one cataract or one hip or one knee operated on because it's so expensive. And our workforce is getting smaller and smaller as the rest of us get older and develop all the diseases that happens with increasing age.
Why has medicine become so expensive? When I think back, when I was a kid, we had a family doctor, and he was a real family doctor. The surgery was in his home, and he had one of those little red lights above the front gate, and he did house calls. He would come if we were sick. He would come.
Yeah.
And being very poor, he never ever charged us a penny.
Yeah. I think the problem is that medicine's become so complicated, and now there are treatments and procedures that can help so many people, and the population's got a lot bigger, and they haven't, and it's too complex for a GP to be able to do everything like they used to.
Yeah. Are people going into medicine for the wrong reasons?
Yes, often financial reasons.
And I think that's an issue. Salaries, the cost of patient care, inpatient care, the cost of single-use equipment rather than replacing equipment, sterilising it, the cost of the artificial joints and whatnot.
Is there any going back? Is there any way?
Well, one of the problems is I understand that a lot of the hip implants, for example, are imported. They're not made in Australia, and the people that make them, import them, can name the price to the government, which is ridiculous. They're much cheaper in the countries where they're made. Sure, there has to be a bit of profit, but not. I can't remember.
Can we fix the problem, or is it no solution?
Well, Jeremy, sorry cutting across the professor, and he'll have his own answer, but Big Pharma, if you look at who owns Big Pharma, they're incredibly large corporations that own much of what happens on the planet. And these people have got a profit motivation.
Yeah.
And that's the unfortunate part. Medicine shouldn't be a profit motivator.
No, that's right. I mean, it's countries like India that make their own things and they can get away with it, which is fantastic for them because they can't afford the huge prices that we're charged for importing medications. And that's why, it's very good for our government to stand up against Trump and his health cronies there who are annoyed that we have a PBS system which subsidises our medications so they're affordable. And Big Pharma in America particularly are dead against that.
I'm sure why, because it would increase the volumes of sales into people who otherwise couldn't afford it. I don't know why they're whining and whinging about it. It's wasteful.
What is the advice that you would give to a younger Professor Crompton? Starting out in medicine, what would you be telling him?
Do research, try different branches of medicine and go for what you think you'll enjoy. Unfortunately, people don't want to work as hard as we used to. Often the spouse is also a professional and they want to have a family life. And so, for example, we had a trainee at a hospital in Adelaide who, day one, wanted to be an eye surgeon. And she said to my colleague, I only want to work from 9 till 5, otherwise it'll upset my social life and my mental health being.
But she's in the wrong profession.
Exactly. Should have been weeded out early on.
Did any of your children go into medicine?
No, they saw. The closest we got was food police, a dietitian, and you don't want them to live too long with you.
Ophthalmology is a fairly rare breed here in Adelaide, isn't it? I mean, there aren't too many ophthalmologists.
We had a premier who was an ophthalmologist.
Yes, David Tonkin. Yeah, I guess there's about 50 eye surgeons in Australia, and the waiting lists are not huge. And no, South Australia. And most of us have worked in peripheral parts of the state and Australia. For example, I worked in Broken Hill 6 times a year for 17 years, and then I worked in Darwin part-time 3 times a year. So most of us do have peripheral clinics to go to help our patients.
And you've found time to be a colonel as well. So I'm going to have to put Saint in here, with the Colonel and the Sir and the AM and all of that, Professor?
Well, I'm actually no longer a surgeon, let alone a doctor, let alone a professor. I'm a feather duster.
Never, sir. Never, never, never. Thank you very much for coming in.
My pleasure.
No, you're a fantastic guest. Thank you. But it looks so good on that business card. Colonel, Sir Professor John Crompton, AM. Thank you very, very much.
she told me long ago. To the prom with me you'd go. Now you change your mind, it seems. Someone else will hold my dreams. A white sport coat and a pink carnation. I'm in a blue mood.
White sport coat and a pink carnation. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to one of the great journalists of this city and indeed this country.
Jeremy, comedian now.
You're not a chameleon. No. Ladies and gentlemen, Robbie Brechin. Now, you would know the name. He's a legend.
Oh, come on.
It used to be in your own lunchtime, but it was...
yeah, long lunchtime. Yeah. Remember those days?
Oh, God, yes. Yeah. They were days to look back and reflect upon.
We were very spoiled, I think. Jeremy.
And we had so many restaurants because we had so many long lunches.
Yes.
Nobody frowned on it.
No.
Oh, no. Then Paul Keating came along with his fringe benefits tax.
Yeah, a bit of a spoil sport, old Paul.
I would think so. I think that's one way of putting it.
Yeah.
I don't know that
him in many ways, but there was a few things he did that I wasn't happy about.
Because a lot of business and a lot of stories and a lot of everything was done over a table. Like, for example, this.
I honestly think, apart from the odd too many bottles of wine,
yes,
it was really good for your mental health. I mean, I really do.
Sort of like therapy.
There's a kinship in it.
Yes.
I remember Lance Campbell, who's arts editor of the Advertiser.
Oh, I remember him, yeah.
This is back in the 80s, and Desert Dick Lang. Remember Desert Dick?
Desert Dick, yes.
The guy with the big plane.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, yep.
Always flew very close to the sun, and he was a real character.
Yeah.
Anyway, Lance and I had been to a function before lunch, and we sort of wandered in very happy. We sat down, and it was Alec Matheson, Des Cahoon.
Well, these are
and legends.
Legends, aren't they?
Desert Dick Lang.
What are you saying, Caroline? Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry.
Just come in and yell, Caroline. It's all right.
Yeah.
It's a dining room. You just got to get closer to the microphone. They're very directional.
Very direct. Okay, yeah. Is
that should be fine.
Better?
Yep.
And everybody said, "Look, Desert Dick has had some bad news. He's got cancer, and he's got a farm, and he's selling off his property."
Yes.
And I think it was Alec who said, "Would you like to buy a camel from him?" And Lance and I looked at each other. Oh, why not?
You'd bought a camel?
I bought a camel, just unseen. No idea what we were doing.
I hope it was a good-looking one.
No, it wasn't. He was called Gordy, and I'll never forget. We paid $100 for it.
Yeah.
And I went home that night, and I said to my wife, Fran, I said, by the way, we now own a camel. So the whole family, the kids and the lot, went up to see the camel up beyond Gola somewhere.
Yeah.
And we saw him standing on the hillside, and he came running down. It was like out of Lawrence of Arabia, you know, the dust and the woo and the woo. And we thought, this doesn't look good.
They sort of run in slow motion,
yes,
don't they?
Yeah. And it was like that. It was like Lawrence of Arabia, the camel scene, the long shots. And anyway, as soon as he got close, he started spitting and pawing the ground. And we had brought down ropes and things. We thought we'd be able to lasso him and, you know, get close to him. But we chased him all afternoon. And eventually we sold him to another camel trader.
Did this work its way into a column?
I can't remember. It was a lunch story for a lot. It still is a lunch story.
It is a lunch story.
Yeah. Sorry?
Did he end up in a barbecue?
I don't know. We didn't dare to ask. We think he was a legit trader, actually, and he might have had maybe a kind of UFC for camels. You know, he'd been a great fighter, I think. You know,
Professor, do you remember Des Cahoon?
Yes.
Fantastic. I always remember him. He never had a cigarette out of his hand.
No.
You know, but a wonderful man, a great raconteur.
Yeah.
Fantastic character.
Yeah. Oh, a real legend.
Where are the characters today?
You're not allowed to anymore.
You're not allowed to?
No. Jeremy, I was horrified because I knew that we might talk about the media and freedom of
I'd
speech.
love you to. Freedom of speech?
Right?
Yes,
And
sir.
The first thing that came up on my phone this morning was doctor sanctioned for calling the mushroom poisoner a sociopathic nut job.
That's very accurate.
Well, that's what I thought. I thought, well, that's how I was describing it.
Yeah, that's
right?
fair enough. Yeah.
But what have we come to when a doctor is sanctioned for telling the truth? It's got all kinds of implications: freedom of speech, descriptions, cancellation,
yes,
woke.
Yes.
You can't make a decent judgment about a patient, which is what's here.
Yeah.
You can't tell the truth. Where is the truth going?
Well,
I'm getting really worried.
Well, therefore, where is journalism going if you can't tell the truth and do it with a humorous twist?
Yes, down the tube. Well, you saw Trump with the ABC guy who asked a legitimate question about how the family was raking in the billions.
Yes.
Right? Apparently he's made $5 billion since he became president again. And, he said, my sons run the business. And as if presidents are supposed to
run a business,
not have trust to keep them apart from all that, right?
Yes.
There's nothing to Trump. And as you know, he scolded the ABC reporter. And he said, you've set a very bad tone. I'm going to tell your boss on you. and he banned the ABC from his London press conference.
Yeah.
How childish is that? How dangerous is this?
But he's getting away with it, and people, not everybody likes him, but he seems to sort of have taken politics back to the Wild West, which is
absolutely
really what America is. They like that.
Funny, I actually wrote that in a little think piece to myself, that people are surprised about what's happening in America. And I said, well, have a look at the movies, have a look at the Wild West. This is what they were. The big town sheriff was always corrupt.
Yep.
There was always a rancher who was killing people quietly to get their land. Do you know what I mean? And there was one guy in a white hat who came along and tried to sort out the mess. That was what I grew up on.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Yeah.
So
life was simple.
So I love that you have made that reference. Do you know what I mean? To the Wild West, because that is them raw in tooth and claw. That has, and the gun settled almost every argument.
But he's managed to create the parameters that will now allow him to be totally crazy, say anything he likes because he's established that's what I'm like.
And that's why he loved being with the king and the queen.
Oh, did he? What?
And the fating, look at the red arrows flying overhead. God save the queen and the cost of all this stuff, right? And I'm sure I watched Prince Charles again. We grew up with Prince Charles and had an admiration for his eccentricity, shall we say?
Yeah.
And we now realise why the
What's
Queen...
What's eccentric about talking to plants?
Sorry?
What's eccentric about talking to plants?
Nothing.
I do it all the time.
Well, that's all changed. I agree. I talk to plants, And I thought, is Charles really enjoying Trump being Trump?
No.
And the kind of obsequiousness of it. And it's so over the top that you're thinking, well, the king is actually in his Gunshaw mind thinking, this is a mockery, but I've got to put up with it for the sake of the British economy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Are you talking about Trump?
Yes.
Yeah.
My favourite.
There you go. Yeah.
Well, come closer to the microphone so we can hear all of you.
Sorry, I was out of the room. What were you saying about Trump?
How do I put
where do we start?
Les has gone very quiet on this, I can see.
A lot of people think we need a Trump in Australia.
Hey?
A lot of people think we need a Trump in Australia.
Well, I do in the sense of our politicians lately seem to be quite wishy-washy.
Yes.
And I am thinking of Albo, who's a perfectly nice man, but he looks like he should be selling you tickets at the railway station. No, I'm serious.
No, I agree. I agree.
And he's not an impressive man in any way, right?
No.
And I think that's the way the government is, but I'm quite grateful for it because at least he's not a fascist or an authoritarian.
Yeah.
What's the nicest word we can think of for Trump at his best?
Complete arsehole. No, honestly, look, I don't mind some of his policies, but as a person, he's an absolute disgrace.
Well, Les and I were talking about that. I, even as a critic of Trump, I think his critics go too far, that he does do some good things. And because he doesn't get credit for that, that enrages him even more and causes him to be even more authoritarian and vengeful. I mean, the vengeful nature is what worries me more than anything.
He's vindictive. All the lawyers who are involved in the very legitimate court cases in 2024 against all the things he'd done have now been disbarred from government work, for example. It's just disgusting the way he is so nasty towards.
But ultimately, we as humans and as a society, we compare and we have contrasts. If you compare Albanese to Gough Whitlam, there's an immediate big difference. If you compare Albanese to Paul Keating, there's a huge difference. If you then look at the conservative side of politics and compare Albanese to our longest living Prime Minister,
John Howard.
You say to yourself, look at the contrast. Look at the American political landscape. Compare Trump to Biden. I mean, was Biden the president, or was he just keeping the seat warm?
At least he was innocuous.
Do you compare Trump against Obama? Do you compare Trump against the Bushes?
But what you're
saying...
saying...
This is the problem that people need to grasp, is you need to compare and say, where is America going? And I say to people who dislike Trump, let's wait for the term. Let's see where America is in a few years' time and say, has America
He's trying
improved?
to gerrymander that as well because he knows he's going to get booted out in midterms, or at least the party will be. So he's already manoeuvring to reallocate Texas, for example, to get over the line there. So it's just ongoing disgraceful behaviour.
He's made it very clear he doesn't trust elections, right?
Well, guess what?
He's still banging on, even yesterday in London. The barefaced lying is,
every time he opens his mouth, he's lying.
I mean, yes, he has some good. I'm going to admit, yes, he has some qualities that make him a leader. Okay, I hesitate to use the word good, but at least he's leading, and that teaches a lot of people in Australia about politics and how you should conduct yourself. But he again repeated that he won the 2020 election. He's still doing that even after Fox News, God bless Murdoch's heart, they got fined $1 billion Australian for allowing the outright lies about the Cambridge people who ran the voting systems.
That's right, yeah.
Okay. And yes, the other day we were seeing Jimmy Kimmel.
That was the electronic voting.
Okay, being banned by Trump, came from him. It came from Brendan Carr, who's the chair of the Federal Communications Commission. A total outright censorship for the wrong reasons, right? And I heard yesterday that I thought, well, how does Fox News get away with what it says? It puts there rubbish, right? Absolute rubbish. And they know they're doing it, right? And that $1 billion fine should have been enough to tone them down a little bit, right? I don't know what's going to happen with the succession with Lachlan. Will Lachlan be any more different? No, you've probably known Lachlan personally.
No, I don't know him personally.
Oh, you don't know him personally?
No, he sacked me.
Yeah, well,
so I don't really know him personally.
He didn't get to know you before he sacked you.
No. I don't think he really was cognizant of the whole thing. He just got a phone call from David Pemberthy. And Pemberthy then rang the radio station and demanded, because David's got a lot of power in there.
Yes, obviously, yeah.
Demanded that I get the sack.
Yep.
Irrespective of what your contract said, which I
don't care about contracts. I never wanted a contract.
Yeah.
But anyway, what you're saying though is that applies to politicians. It applies to medicine. It applies to nothing is the same. It applies to journalism.
Yeah.
It applies to newspapers, even newspaper proprietors. I mean, when Rupert's gone, what's the scene going to look like?
Yeah, but can I make the comment about
Lachlan will probably sell the printed newspaper business altogether. I can't see him persevering with it.
Journalism and the media tends to, and we were talking about this just before the segment, that you can't necessarily always trust the media to be accurate and truthful.
You can trust Robbie Brechin.
But if you and talking about Trump and the 2020 election, if one looks at the documentary maker Dinesh D'Souza and looks at the subject of that election and the drop boxes and how the drop boxes were manipulated during the COVID period, the evidence is very, very sound that the drop boxes were manipulated and people were going with handfuls of votes. No different to the election here at the Adelaide City Council when Alex Hyde lost his seat because of a Chinese candidate because the Chinese rigged the election. Now, these things happen, and the biggest allegation against Trump during his political career has been this allegation of Russian collusion. And that's just now been proven to be a totally false allegation. And yet for years and years and years, his opposition were fighting him, saying that you've colluded with the Russians to do all sorts of nasty things, but it just wasn't true.
Les, I've got to come in there. The red carpet treatment, Trump, I was sickened by his behaviour. Here he's greeting a war criminal, forcing his soldiers, and remember he got out of getting called up for Vietnam by getting his rich dad to get his doctor to say he had bone spurs and wasn't fit to be a soldier. Right? He gets it, and he hates soldiers. You know, he said McCain was not a war hero because he got captured. He's a loser. I mean, what kind of mentality are we talking about here? I mean, you can't put aside that sociopathic part of Trump. You can't separate, go, oh, well, he's a great leader. Well, if he's a great leader, that's fine, but he's also a maniac, right? And he's a very cruel
And he's
leader.
got the button. He's got the bomb.
Yeah,
got
he's
the
a cruel man.
The red button on the desk.
And he's letting Netanyahu do his dirty work. He says, Putin's let me down. He's again in London. Oh, Putin let me down. I thought he was my friend.
Did they ever censor you or your columns? I'm not sure how newspapers work.
No, I must say, they didn't. But that was the 80s when anything was going. You know, it was a much more free time.
A cake just walked through the door.
Well, not a cake. Special occasion here today, folks. We've made Jeremy a pavlova in the true Australian idiom.
Well, that is wonderful.
Did you make that? I made it, yes.
You made it?
Wow. Yes, I did. Marry me, Tony. No, I did that. Well, I created.
Tony would be a bigamist if he married you, Gary.
It's a special day for Jeremy. He had a birthday this week.
Very good. Yeah.
So we're going to dish that up.
Well. Maybe as a special day, you could get me a nice glass of cheap red.
It's that time of day.
No, I didn't hear the bottle pop. No, I didn't.
It's about an hour overdue, Carl.
Oh, yes. At least.
I'm surprised he's lasted this long.
He only has a backup behind him.
No. Tell me.
And where, Jeremy, are you going to find a cheap bottle of wine in your house? Come on.
Oh, yeah, man. No, look, I have a favourite tipple, which is called, it doesn't even have a name, really.
It's behind you.
Oh, yeah, that's it. It's called Soft Red.
Yes.
And I think it sells, last time I looked, it's about $3.90 a bottle.
Is that right?
$4 a bottle.
My God, medicine, cheap medicine.
Well, and I must admit, I mean, I'm not a connoisseur, but if you gave me a glass of that and a glass of, $20 or $50, but I would go for that because it tastes better.
Sure. I'm the same. I've got the same kind of palate.
I don't know. I'm lucky to have that palate. I'd rather have a $4 palate than a $24 palate.
Me too, yeah.
Now, tell me about how an editor in a newspaper works. You write the column, and a copy boy comes along and takes it, and then he gives it to the editor. How does it all work?
That's roughly how it was. Slightly different. The advertiser, the copy boys had gone, so you basically. And the Advertiser was one of the first newspapers in the world to go computer in the early 1980s.
Oh.
Yeah. And that caused a lot of consternation. Remember, we had the big strike, the 6-week strike, which I went through. The baby had just arrived. The car had just broken down. And we were on strike for 6 weeks. And because of the union setup, which was basically even if Adelaide people voted to go back to work, they were overwhelmed by the eastern states' votes, right? So most of us wanted to go back to work, and it damaged the relationship with the editors. After that, it changed. You could feel it was like the wind changing from north to west or something. You could feel it. There was a contempt for us. One of the editors said, "Oh, well, you guys didn't do yourselves any favors while you were away." They were putting out an advertiser, a thin one.
Yes.
The editors.
It's about as thin as it is now, isn't it?
Well, yeah. Take out the
household
goods. Take out the
ads.
household goods ads, and it's now a glorified leaflet. It's a collective leaflet. Remember, you used to get your letterbox stuffed with leaflets.
Yes, I do.
So that the postie couldn't put in the new stuff, right? Well, that's all gone. And the reason is, it's now a collective for the 4 main household goods, white goods companies. We could name them here, but we don't want to do that.
Well, they're big sponsors, and so the news, the actual work of the journalist, actual journalism is very. It just fit it in around the ads.
Absolutely, yes. That's how the advertiser started way back in 1868 or something.
Yeah, well, with all the ads on the front page. You've got a picture of you're an original advertiser, haven't you?
Yeah.
The 1890s or 1900, I think it is. I've got a 1920 and a 1940.
Yeah.
And we actually sat around here last year and we went through the 1939, it was actually, edition. It was November, and it was the first time that, just when the war started, first time that John Martins had ever cancelled their pageant because of the depressed time, and everyone was miserable with the war. But I was going to ask you about modern journalism. Every time I read an article, it's littered with grammatical errors, spelling errors, and it's just like kids these days can't write or spell anymore.
Well,
or is it there's no one oversight, there's no editors checking it, or is it the spell checks doesn't work?
There's checks, but you've got a thinning of the gene pool.
Yeah.
A lot of the experienced journalists have gone.
That's what I'm thinking.
I'm thinking of one particularly good reporter, Nigel Hunt, a constant award-winning police reporter.
Absolutely.
He had police contacts that any journalist in the world would be proud of.
Yes.
He got to the bottom of everything with a couple of phone calls. And he did the old-fashioned thing. He went out drinking with them, for which he received some criticism. But as long as he came home with the goods, but something happened between the advertiser and Nigel, I know, was really upset about it. He's got another great job now.
He's a fine journalist.
Oh, yes, but he's a classic example of how that doesn't matter anymore.
Rob, sorry to interrupt, Rob. Can I ask you the question, front page of the Advertiser this morning? I think this is pretty childish sort of journalism when Malinowski's surrounded by Mulligan and Susan Close.
Yep.
They use this double entendre, so Mully gone and close to the end. Do you think that's a bit petty?
They do it all the time, though. They do it all the time.
Yeah, well, I was always of the belief that there should be a balance between entertainment and information. As long as you got your facts right, if you're a little bit lighthearted, it didn't do any harm. So that's not a big problem. I wonder, but
they do make a habit of it.
Oh, yeah. But it shows that there's still life on Mars. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but aren't you famous? Aren't you famous, or the Murdoch press famous for London bus found on Mars or Moon, or headless woman found in topless bar?
Yes. Yeah, sure.
Wonderful headlines.
Yeah.
Is there one person who's responsible for writing the headline?
Usually there is. I know there was one guy at the Advertiser who was very funny and had lots of irony.
Because it's a talent, isn't it?
It's a talent. And, well, remember the Truth headline about the erstwhile Prime Minister.
And which one was that?
The one who died...
On the job.
With a bang.
Billy Snedden.
Yeah.
Billy Snedden, yes.
I loved the Truth magazine. That was fantastic.
Yeah, Truth.
Well,
the headline, I can't remember exactly.
Was surrounded by
What
folk.
was the headline? What was the headline again?
I can't
Died
remember.
on the job or something.
Something like that. Yeah.
But there was a great discussion as to whether it was Prue Acton who was with him.
I think it emerged that it was, wasn't it?
No,
It wasn't?
Maggie
Taberman. Oh, who was it?
It was, in fact, Lady McMahon. It was Sonia McMahon.
This is the truth coming out now.
Yeah.
Now, seeing as everyone is dead, we can say all of this. Unless there's a way that they can sue from the grave. And there's probably a very clever lawyer out there working on that as we speak.
They're not here to dispute it.
No, that's right. Yeah.
No, but at least it was a colourful way to go. I mean, if you were trying to pick a way to go.
And the newspaper treated it with a little bit of satire and a little bit of lightness of being.
Yes.
Because it was funny and sad.
Yeah.
You know? But a lot of blokes would probably think, well, what a way to go, you know.
Indeed.
But, yeah.
Is the day of the hard-drinking, hard-living journalist over?
Oh, yeah. I would say so, yeah. They're very
What
much
a pity.
university boys and girls, very serious people, which is fair enough.
Yeah.
But there's a lack of levity and it's kind of not much of a sense of humour about journalism. I mean, the Australian, I find very hard to read. It's got very good reporters, very solid.
Yeah.
But it's kind of just makes me weary reading about the stuff that they write about, you know.
Yeah.
There's no fun. You can have fun, and like Murdoch perfected it with the London Sun.
Yeah.
That to me was a funny newspaper, but it was also, it had a few facts in there as well, you know.
Do you think journalism, or do you think printed newspapers, that sort of journalism is over?
Well, I think journalism, I've become an addict of YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
All the new...
The best television channel ever, isn't it?
All the new podcasts, the rebel ones, and the Democrat aligned, a lot of them.
Yeah.
But they have kind of... They've spread a bit of anarchy around.
Yeah.
And they're not afraid to use swear words, and they're not afraid to belittle the people that they're talking about. You'd never get away with it here.
No,
you know?
no.
But there's a whole new form of journalism on YouTube.
Funny the way that all sidesteps all the traditional broadcasting control laws about what you can say and how you can say it.
Absolutely.
We can say what we like here, including we played a clip this morning from that mining guy, Noonan, I think his name was, swearing about...
Every four-letter word you could think of and more.
And how we can't burn our own coal and uranium and all that.
Yeah.
But it's all entertaining.
It certainly is. What about journalists, the power of the journalist? I'm thinking of a guy called Horace Greeley, who was a writer, a journalist for the New York Times, I suppose it was. And we're talking 1845, just after the Civil War, maybe. He wrote a headline, and the front page of the paper was, "Go West, young man." And they did. And they did in hundreds of thousands.
Yes.
And the power that one simple headline had, and his story about, forget New York, just pack up and go where the sun is shining and the opportunity. Never mentioned the Indians.
They bought Louisiana
What?
from the French, and people could cross the country.
Oh, the Louisiana Purchase, you mean?
How did the French get it? It's not their country.
Oh, well, the French had Louisiana.
New Orleans. Of course.
New Orleans, yeah. That sort of power of a journalist.
You don't have the concentration of power anymore. Like, even the advertiser in the 80s, I remember people like Cahoon had power.
Yeah, but
everybody read him.
Robbie Brechin, you were the personalities of the medium, and they didn't buy the paper, they bought you. They followed you. They bought the paper because they wanted to read you.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
If only I'd known at the time, I'd have been much better paid than I was.
Well, yeah.
Very kind of you to say that.
No, it's true.
But I must admit, while I was writing, I didn't realise the power I had. You don't, because you're getting criticised, although I must admit, the criticism that we received in the 80s, say, or the 90s, there's nothing compared to today with social media.
But,
I don't know how some people can put their head above the turret. You know?
But in the 80s and 90s even, the primary source of information was limited to radio, newspaper and TV.
Oh, yeah.
And so you had more concentration and more power.
Yeah.
Now it's a splattered
It's fragmented in an amazing way. So you don't have individuals with a lot of power, really.
And it was sort of, I don't know, a cult of personality. Claudia Wright did. Caroline, you remember Claudia Wright? She was a...
Picture when Dad was elected, written by Claudia Wright with Women's Weekly.
Yeah, well, people followed Claudia Wright. She had enormous power. She was like that woman who ran Vogue.
Oh, yes.
You know, the Devil Wears Prada type of woman. Yeah.
Yes.
Those are characters. Ida Buttrose was another one who had enormous power.
God bless Ida. I'm a great admirer of her. Spoken mind.
Yeah.
Had a bit of a life. Had a bit of a thing with Mr. Packer.
A lot of people did. You know, he was he was quite a man.
Is that right?
Yeah.
But again, I mean, even the entrepreneurs of today
He's a big man.
are a bit lacking in personality and character. I mean, Packer walked into a room and you knew it without even looking up.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And now, and his son, Jamie, he's got problems, psychological. And I'm sure he was brought up in a similar attitude to Kerry, his dad.
Yeah.
That was no picnic.
No.
But James, being of the next generation, let it get to his mental health. I mean, he's been very open about that.
Yeah.
He's a very damaged boy.
Broken.
And he tends to just collect his $500 million dividend every 6 months from his various enterprises.
No. But his father wouldn't have done that, I'm sure. He was... What's that?
So we
Caroline,
don't
turn that
appear
off.
to have
It's confusing.
we don't appear to have the icons existing now that we used to. The John Laws, the Alan Jones, amongst the whole heap of people that were very, very iconic in the industry.
And straightforward.
And Jeremy Cordeaux.
I always regarded myself as a public servant. I served the public, and as long as I did that well, they would leave me on.
I think
it wasn't an ego trip for me, believe me. Smack for daughter Caroline, it says, from the new member for Kooyong. One of Mr. Andrew Peacock's first recommendations as the newest member for Federal Parliament was a fatherly one, a good smack for his daughter Caroline, aged 2.
And she wasn't even
and
a
this
silly
was written,
little girl that got drunk.
No.
Smack her on the bottom.
Yeah.
Well,
so the father-in-law was your role model, Jeremy.
Well, Caroline, her curly hair caught up in a top knot, was misbehaving during photographs and interview with her 27-year-old father the morning after his election as the Liberal Country Party member for Coorong, blue ribbon seat held once by Sir Robert Menzies, Claudia Wright. Andrew Peacock is even better looking than his photographs. His black wavy hair and touches of grey. I think she's got the hots for him. But a lot of people did, I believe.
Oh, yeah. He was very charismatic, Andrew. I remember sitting beside him in a TV studio or something, and he swept in, and he was talking about Janine Haynes.
Yes.
And he goes, the flourish.
Yeah.
She couldn't run a bath. A very sort of, and again, a guy who made an impact. And he had his critics, of course. What did they call him? A horse inference, like he was a pony, a show pony.
Yes. The cult from Coorong or whatever they.
From Coorong.
Yeah, that's what they called him.
But they're getting thinner on the ground. And I mean, I mentioned Albo earlier. He's typical of the kind of technocratical kind of guy, like John Bannon was in his own way.
Yeah.
Very bookish, very proper, lovely guy. And he was very unlucky with the state bank, as we know. I mean,
well, it wasn't his doing. He just picked the wrong bloke to run it. That's the problem.
He's the kind of guy who would check his minders' credit cards just to make sure that everything was tickety-boo.
Yeah.
And he had a company Sigma, a government Sigma, I think at the time.
Yeah.
And he put retreads on the Sigma, right?
Yeah, no, he was a good guy. I like John Bannon.
And for him to be caught in the trap of the State Bank, which was the doing of somebody else that we I think he's gone as well.
He's gone too, yes. He was crazy.
Tim Marcus Clark.
Wilkinson's made a bit of a dent.
Yes. She has.
She's a character and a force to be reckoned with.
Yes, yeah.
But she doesn't have a job at the moment.
Well, it's gone a bit quiet, yes.
Yeah.
But only because she spoke probably the truth.
But she's selling her house for $23 million.
Reasonable.
My kind of socialist.
yeah. There's no doubt about the left when it comes to money.
Yeah, and she's married to the former rugby player, of course, turned author.
And a great author. He's been on the show several times. I don't know how he turns out so many books, but
he's got
a
lot of researchers.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Let's put it that way, yeah. He's very much a name.
Yeah.
To be true. Remember the fuss about Jamie Oliver not that long ago?
Yeah.
There was a children's book, Indigenous.
Oh, yes.
What Jamie Oliver was doing, writing an Australian Indigenous children's book. But apparently it emerged because it caused a furore because there was black magic involved and it was kind of very kind of patronising Indigenous people, right? And it emerged that Jamie, as publishers often do, they go along to personalities. They've got a book to sell. Like, I know who could sell this book. Maybe Jamie was about to do a tour of Australia or something.
Yeah.
How about we put your name on this, right? And Jamie's going, yeah. So I've got failing Italian restaurants or something. He's not as rich sometimes as he seems to be. As often all rich people are, they're losing money as much as they're winning money. But it depends upon when you meet them.
The project on the corner of King William Street in North Terrace.
That's the one. That was beautiful.
That was called Jamie's. It was beautifully done, but it didn't work.
No. And I wonder how much he had an actual hand in it.
Yeah.
But that was when people went, "Oh, is that right? A celebrity will put their name to a book that they possibly haven't even read.
Let alone written.
We need one we need a restaurant called Nigella and invite her over. Now that would work.
Now there's a woman with personality.
Oh, she is unbelievable.
She lights up a
very,
room just
very
by,
good.
Yep. She's very spunky.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was alluding to.
But she's also it's more than just spunk. It's more than just her beauty.
She's clever.
Her attitude. I mean, her dad was a famous politician.
Yes. What was his name?
He was Chancellor of the Exchequer.
That's right. He was quite the guy.
Nigel?
A knighted fellow.
Nigel Lawson.
That's right.
Robbie Brechin is my guest, along with Gary and Tony and Liz and Caroline down the end of the table, consuming... Have you got some cake, darling? Ah, good girl. John's on the line. Hello, John.
Hi, Jeremy. How are you? And to the panel. Too many names for me to remember.
Well, it's not such a... I don't know what the collective noun would be.
A gaggle.
A gaggle?
A gaggle of people.
Radio people.
What's on your mind, John?
Well, I want to tell you, you know how Pat's had her issues with the diabetes and that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, she had to go across to GP Plus to, supposedly to see a doctor that comes down from Flinders.
Yes.
And when she had made the appointment, I've always asked for afternoon appointments, but he doesn't come down. He comes down in the morning and he's gone by midday. Anyway, a friend of ours normally helps Pat out, but he couldn't because he had other commitments.
Yeah.
So we had to get, I rang Marion Council to see if they'd help. No, but they gave me the name of a company that could help. So I said, what's the name? It says Driving Miss Daisy.
Driving Miss Daisy, good name.
Yeah, but my distance from my home to the Domain and back again would come under a mile there and back, right?
Yeah.
The cost, and don't get me wrong, the person that helped Pat, he was absolutely brilliant with it, but the cost for an hour and a quarter, $122.50.
$122.50 just for driving. What sort of distance?
As I said, a mile all up.
A mile?
Yeah, half a mile over there and half a mile to come back.
Half a mile there, half a mile back. And who paid?
And he did stay with Pat all through the thing, but Pat had been lied to because when she got there, instead of the doctor being there, a dietitian came out and wanted to run Pat through what Pat already knew about doing her blood sugars and taking her insulin.
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of over-servicing that goes on, John, and I don't know what it is about. It's probably about making the payment on the next Mercedes-Benz, but it was nice of that driver.
Ferrari, Lamborghini, Bentley.
But it was nice of him to, even though it seems like an awful lot of money to drive Miss Daisy, half a mile there and half a mile back, but it was nice of him to stay with her for the procedure, which I'm sure she'd appreciate. Anyway, my dear boy, give Pat my love, will you? Thank you. Robbie Brechin's our special guest. You mentioned,
Jeremy, if I could just cut in here. After I retired from the ABC, I thought I'd like to do some voluntary work, and I did some driving for the Red Cross.
Bless you.
And my job was to pick up people from their homes
Yes.
and take them to hospital appointments.
Yes.
People who are otherwise not able to drive themselves.
Be a few stories in there, I would think.
Yeah. And they were lovely people. I really enjoyed that. I won't say why I stopped doing it. That's another story. But that was very cheap for them. The Red Cross basically did that as a free of charge thing.
Yeah.
And I would take them kilometres and kilometres.
It's a volunteer thing. Yeah.
So it's a matter of organising a lot of the time. You know, we need to get umbrellas back where people are. I often wonder why we don't have people at the head of government or beside the head of government who are looking at issues, you know, such as the housing issue or the hospital ramping issue, and going, well, we've got to there must be a longer term solution to this. Let's stop banging your head against the wall.
And let's stop the rearguard action and get the spin doctors out of the way and the solutions in front of us.
I'll never forget the last election, was it, when this person stood up and said, oh, they're getting on top of the hospital ramping, I know, because blah, blah, blah. And she turned out to be a lackey of the Labour Party, right? Now, I got a lot of time for Malley. I really do.
He's a star.
Yeah, and all he has to do for the next election is take his shirt off in a swimming pool.
I
mean, there's no sweat for him.
I think that's pretty right. I bet the Libs wish they had a similar character.
They keep sending him boxes of hamburgers and chips, and can't understand why he sends them back. But as you say, the spin is now incredible. You know, I mean, it was bad enough when I was writing about politics, and the minders would take me aside and say, "Well, Robbie," they'd take me out to lunch and say, "Robbie, if you just take your foot off our necks a little bit, there'll be more of those lunches." Right? Just stuff like that.
But I get the feeling a lot of journalists are cozying up to the party that's in power because they
have to. They have to. Because otherwise, and
you're out of it.
I went through this where you know that you're going to be cut off from the information flow. So you're a political writer, say, and you are cut off. They deliberately don't brief you.
Yeah.
You used to get phone calls saying blah, blah, blah. You know, it was all part of the game.
You really need to run with the hares and hunt with the hounds.
Yes, and if you don't toe the line, you end up being...
And that's very skillful work.
Yeah, in front of a diplomat, you know, how much do you tell? You know what I mean? You're always juggling, trying to keep in but also tell the truth. You know, it's you're trying to serve the reader and the master.
Sure, but you have to have access.
Yeah, if you don't have access, that's it. Yeah. You would know that very well.
Yeah. But you mentioned John Bannon. Now,
lovely man, by the way.
Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah. He gave me a line of credit, and I've got it at home somewhere. He gave me a line of credit for $100 million.
What?
That's true.
It is.
I've seen it, Jeremy.
Why?
You showed it to
What
me.
was it for?
Well, what happened was...
I know you're a smooth talking devil, but...
No. It was very sound business. And actually, right now, there is a similar situation that has erupted. But back then, and I'm talking the 80s, young Warwick... You know how you...
I remember young Warwick, yes.
You know how
the
you
troublemaker,
started...
The troublemaker.
You know you how to start a small business?
Yeah. Give it to Warwick.
You buy a big one and
give it to
Warwick to run.
That's right. Oh, God. What a tragedy that was.
Well, anyway, the whole Fairfax publishing empire that went back to, I don't know, the 1700s or something or other... They owned Woman's Day, and they owned a stable of magazines. They owned Channel 7, the 7 network. They owned 2GB Macquarie, the whole Macquarie network. Yeah. They owned the Sydney Morning Herald and the Sun. Anyway, it was a fantastic empire, and young Warwick decided that he was going to privatise what was a very, very expensive public company, and he was going to do it with borrowed money. And then the interest rates started to come up, and thank you, Paul Keating. And then he went back. Well, he didn't go bankrupt. He sent the company bankrupt.
Yes.
And everything had to be sold. Skase bought the 7 network, and somebody else bought something else, and Packer bought the magazines that he wanted. And up for sale was the entire Macquarie network, which was 2GB at the time, 4BH Brisbane, 3AW Melbourne, 5D in Adelaide, 2CA Canberra with the MaxSat satellite system, Darwin, and a whole stack of provincial stations, very powerful. And I went to John and I said, why don't we buy it? Because not only is there a lot of real estate, can you imagine having a South Australian voice in every single population centre in the country? And he said, I like the idea. And 2 days later, he rang and he said, can we have another appointment? And we knew the auction was coming up in about a week in Sydney. They literally auctioned it off in whatever the street was, down in Ultimo, where the Fairfax building was, the whole Fairfax company.
Yeah.
Anyway, we went along. It got to 100 million. I knew it's all I had, just 100 million. Just 100 million.
Oh, yeah. And a lot of money.
Unfortunately, there was $10 million of stamp duty. So we couldn't go on.
Oh.
John had given me the strict order that we were not to go over 100 million. That was it.
Yeah.
So we lost it by $10 million. And that's how I came by 5DN, which was second prize, because the bloke who bought the thing was one of those White Shoe Brigade people from Queensland or something. Anyway,
Sanctuary Cove.
It's what?
We've now broken the record.
Oh, it's 12:30. Anyway, the point is the same thing has happened because 9 Network or 9 Entertainment have got 2GB, 3AW, and 6PR and 4BC virtually on the market. So we could do it again, Robbie. And I'm just listening to your voice.
Yeah.
You would be a fantastic on-air...
Wouldn't he?
Talkback journalist.
First thing I said to him when I met him at the gate.
Great voice.
No, beautiful.
I remember the great late Bob Francis.
Yeah.
He rang me up one day, just for something or other.
Yeah.
And I answered the phone. He said, that voice, he says, it's like a ball bouncing off the velvet of a
it's
snooker
so
table.
mellow.
Well, I think it's honey. I think it's just honey. And the brogue is a very slight brogue, but it's a very charming accent.
Yeah. Some say I had luck with the ladies back in the day because
I'll bet you
because
did.
of that.
I bet you do.
It wasn't my looks, but anyway.
So don't close the door. We might be able to pull it off.
Radio is a wonderful medium, I think. Anyway, it's still a true medium.
It is, but I think the radio is probably a commercial radio as we know it, and particularly if you're trying to run it out of Sydney, and one size does not fit all. If you're trying to do it that way, I think you're in terminal decline, and that's what the business people who run 9 Entertainment believe,
Of course. Yeah.
and they want to get out now. They've sold Domain, which was a really very big asset,
You know, the Domain real estate...
being hammered by REA, of course.
Yeah.
But still, probably in itself. Yeah.
I think it was $2.5 billion they sold it for.
Yeah.
And the headline in the Australian Financial Review, which is owned by Nine Entertainment, was Domain off the books, now for radio.
Well, you know...
So that wasn't planted. I don't know what was.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
The best offers they've had so far for those 4 top-rating stations, 4BC, CPR, etc., 3AW and 2GB, is under $30 million.
So
and in the 90s, that would get you 1 radio station.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
now throw in 4 for the price of 1. And this is in today's dollars, not $95.
And these are talk stations that are number 1 in their respective markets, all of them. And to have that sort of voice for South Australia at that sort of price, I mean, what is it? It isn't even a fraction of what the live golfing thing is going to cost. And there are a lot of other stuff going on.
An absolute masterstroke.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I must ring him. Do you know him?
Who?
Mally.
Mally, I know. Yes, I have to know him quite well.
Oh, well, let him know that there's a proposition coming his way.
Better still, get him around the dining room table.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
That would be a bit of a...
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that would be a good idea. But you're welcome back anytime, and I think you're a fantastic, not only journalist, but entertainer.
Oh, thank you.
But you've got these wonderful stories.
Yeah. Well, I have been around a long time.
Who was your mentor? Were you mentored by anybody?
Mentor? That's an interesting question. They were mainly American. I was obsessed with them. Going back to cowboys and Indians, and we grew up. Most of us grew up in.
Yeah, that's my era.
Looking at America,
up along Cassidy.
Yeah,
interesting place. You know what I mean? Somewhere where
Cisco Kid.
Free. Easy rider.
Casey Jones. Casey Jones.
So Hunter S. Thompson, Ken Casey, who did One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yes.
Truman Capote, even though he was a horrible little man.
Yeah.
I loved In Cold Blood, for example, the reportage of these 2 guys.
Yeah.
It was a landmark journalism. And Jack Kerouac. And it was like, I love music, so modern music, even though I'm tone deaf. I like to think that I'm using the rhythm of music.
Who is your favourite American? Chris Christopherson or Johnny Cash? Or
John Prine.
Oh, yes, he's fantastic.
Yeah, he had a big heart.
Yes.
Yeah,
I love him. He's great.
Yeah, oh, good.
No,
great
absolutely.
Taste you've got, Joe.
No, I love all that era, and it never gets played. Gets played. Merle Haggard.
Merle Haggard. I think he was probably the best of them all because of his voice.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a real country music upbringing. He was.
And Dolly Parton.
Yes, brilliant woman.
I've got her car.
Willie Nelson.
Willie Nelson. Yeah.
He's got her car in the garage out there.
I actually really do. I've got Dolly Parton's car out there.
Really?
Yep.
What kind of car is it?
It's an E-Type Jaguar.
Good Lord.
She bought it and kept it for 10 years. It was green with tan. And the bloke who owned...
Robert Barbaro,
who ran
Adelaide guy.
The restaurateur down on Connell Street.
Connell Street.
Yeah. He bought it, brought it back from America, sent it off to Melbourne, had it painted white, reupholstered, new hood.
Yeah.
But it has that providence that it was her car for 10 years.
And it never needed airbags because she had her own inbuilt.
Oh, she certainly
facility.
did. She certainly did. But American country music told stories.
It's so personal. It's got poetry.
Yeah.
I love the turn of phrase. So they influenced me as much as anybody as well, actually.
Yeah.
I may have stolen a couple of lines from John Prine.
Yes. No, there are great words and lines.
Of course, in court.
Yeah. I don't know who wrote the song, but it was a one that appealed to me. You can get humour into songs the way you can't probably get it into anything else.
Yes.
He wrote a song and he said, if I had to do it all over again, I'd do it all over you.
Yes. It's beautiful.
About his wife.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm trying to think of examples, and I never can in the moment. But, there are many of them.
You'll have to come back, Robbie.
I will. Gladly.
I would love you
I've
to.
enjoyed today. It's been good. It's been a really good mix.
Well, it's eccentric.
And Jeeves here makes a splendid cup of coffee.
Jeeves.
Thank you. At least I've got a use.
Well, he is a car collector.
No, I know.
A genuine eccentric himself.
Yes.
Thank you. I take that as a compliment.
Well,
Jeremy.
look,
coming
I'm
from you, that is a compliment.
Well, I'm only studying the
spy versus spy.
Anyway, thank you so much, Robbie.
Our
Very
pleasure.
grateful.
Absolute pleasure. Been really good.
And Liz, thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy.
We got to go, I'm told. Thank you, Tony.
Happy birthday, Jeremy.
Thank you. Yesterday. But anyway, thank you for making the pavlova.
It's a lovely...
Anytime.
Bless your heart. You really made that.
Yeah.
Hell, Caroline, that was a fantastic pavlova.
Yes, it was.
It was.
There's
and thank
plenty
you,
more.
Caroline.
Thank you.
There's a couple of slices here for Marie.
Maria.
Sorry,
And Marie may still be listening. I don't know.
Post it to her.
And Caroline,
can we go out on the... I've got the Batman song lined up here, if we can do that on the out.
Yeah, okay. What I want to do, if we can...
Go through the dates.
Because Caroline got me this, and I think it's really interesting. I've always liked Tom Selleck. I don't know why. He was just a good-looking leading man, He's just sort of a star. And Caroline found this, I don't know where, but I'll just read it to you as it is. It's emotional. American actor Tom Selleck bought a dog shelter on the very verge of it closing. But what he did next surprised everybody. Only 72 hours to go. The water bill hadn't been paid for weeks. The owner had been issued with a final warning, get out, or the dogs will be removed. But no one expected to see him enter, a tall man wearing a cowboy hat, pacing, no helpers, no cameras, no hangers-on, no gophers. He walked straight to the last box and he knelt next to the largest dog, Rusty, a 14-year-old golden retriever with a limp and arthritis. And he stayed there for about 10 minutes, silently, just patting the dog. Then he looked at the shelter manager and asked, "How many dogs do you have here?" And she said, 47. Tom gained a reputation and, in his most earnest voice, declared, "So 47 deserve to live like heroes in my book." He didn't just sign a check. He bought all the properties on the spot. But that's not what blew up on the internet. The next day, the trucks arrived. 1, 2, 3 trucks. New beds, heated floors, veterinary care, fresh food, toys, blankets embroidered with each dog's name. Above each box, a plaque that read... Yes, sounds good.
This is sounding more and more like Jeremy's garage.
Forever home. Forever home, courtesy of Tom Selleck. Most moved, Tom adopts Rusty. He's waited so long, he says with a comforting smile, now it's my turn to wait for him. Tom Selleck didn't just save a shelter. He gave 47 souls a second chance. Caroline, I think that's lovely. Where did you find it?
I can't remember now.
It's true, though. It's true. It's true. We got to go. Thank you so much for being with us. Okay. Believe in yourself. We'll be there with the podcast and the Facebook posting on Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock and again on Thursday and back with you on Friday morning at 9 o'clock. Here in the Court of Public Opinion. Believe in yourself.
I'll do Batman.
You want to do Batman? Why are we doing Batman?
Adam West's birthday.
Oh, okay. Adam West's birthday, ladies and gentlemen.
That won't work.